Visit WatchESPN.com or download the Watch ESPN app to watch ESPN live anytime, anywhere. Brought to you by Vizio.
Just moments away from kickoff here at Jack Trice Stadium. Before we get things started, let's say good evening to our buddy Samantha Ponder.
Good evening, Reese. Mac Brown told me earlier tonight that his defense is going to blitz more tonight than they did against Kansas State. Now, fortunately for Iowa State, their dual-threat quarterback, Sam Richardson, is healthy again. He had a hard time playing on a sprained right ankle, and Paul Rhodes told me this is the first night since opening week that he's fully able to plant off of that back foot. Now, they do want to run him more tonight, so pay attention to that, but here's the difficulty. His center is a third-string center. They're happy with what he's done in practice over the last week. That's Ben Loth, but obviously, Reese, never good when you're starting your third-string center.
No, Sam, it'll be a challenge against the interior defenders of Texas, but of course, running the quarterback is what has vexed the Longhorns for much of this season, giving up more yardage to running quarterbacks than any other team in the country. Texas won the toss, they deferred, so the Cyclones will get the football to start off. Jarvis West is deep to return it for Iowa State. Getting set to put a boot to it for Texas. As you see, Nick Rose will be the kickoff specialist. Anthony Farah will handle most of the place-kicking duties, but Rose is your kickoff man, and we are underway from Jack Trice Stadium, and the Cyclones are going to watch that thing sail out of the back of the end zone, and they'll put it in play on their 25-yard line. The impact players when Iowa State has the ball. Aaron Wimberly coming off a 137-yard performance against Tulsa, and Quentin Bundridge had a big game against Iowa, 3-touchdown, 100-yard receiving day. We mentioned the defensive line for Texas against this Iowa State offensive line. Malcolm Brown inside against Ben Loth when he's in at center, and Jackson Jeffcoat, the spectacular defensive end who's had his season cut short the last couple of years with torn pectoral muscles. There is Wimberly, there is Bundridge. See how quickly the Cyclones can get the ball in their hands, very quickly. Wimberly looking for the edge, picks up one. The tackle made by Dalton Santos. Santos in there because Steve Edmond, the normal starter at middle linebacker, sits out the first half of this game after getting kicked out on a targeting call. You heard Samantha talk about Sam Richardson, and we call him Sam B. Richardson because there's a cornerback for the Cyclones that also starts, also named Sam Richardson, no relation. He's Sam E. The sophomore from Winter Park has been slowed by the injury, but they think he's a promising guy, dual threat guy, good on the move and can throw on the move, and does, and completes his first pass of the night to Bundridge. And Bundridge is a guy who's going to have to win some one-on-one matchups and make some plays tonight for Iowa State.
Especially out there in the boundary. Duke Thomas, a cornerback for Texas, has been the guy opposing offenses have tried to pick on this year. Tyler Lockett had a 237-yard receiving day 2 weeks ago for Kansas State. A lot of those catches on Duke Thomas.
First third down of the night. Iowa State trying to avoid a 3-and-out to start. Crowd continuing to fill in. Longhorns in the backfield, and they've been vexed by missed tackles, but Malcolm Brown didn't miss that one. It'll be 3-and-out for the Cyclones.
You heard Sam talking about the injuries they've had at center, and Ben Loth, the third-team center, lining up against Malcolm Brown, who's the most explosive D tackle they have. No one even barely gets a hand on him. You see the quickness off the line of scrimmage. There's no denying the talent Texas has up front. They have some guys that can get into the backfield. Iowa State's going to do a much better job at the point of attack.
He's one of the best punters in the country, Kirby Vanderkamp. Just as I say that, that's not his best effort. Jackson Shipley has to come in and grab it before it bounces and lets Iowa State pick up some more yardage on the punt. And Texas will have it for the first time tonight at its own 36-yard line. Impact players when the Longhorns are on offense. Dejae Johnson is back. Johnson playing wide receiver. You might see him at running back as well. Jonathan Gray is going to carry the load in the backfield. Both of those guys are explosive. You can't miss David Irving on the defensive front. He's about 7'12". He's actually 6'7", big fella. And Jeremiah George holding this linebacking core together after the departures of Jake Knott and A.J. Klein, both of whom are in the NFL now. First run of the night goes to Jonathan Gray, and the Cyclone defense there to stop him. It'll be second and long as we check in with Sam.
Reese, obviously Texas looking for as many weapons as they can on offense. Mike Davis obviously dealing with an ankle injury. You saw out there, wouldn't start, but he is available. They're going to be cautious with him.
Gray gets it for the second time, gets across the 40. He's going to be about 5.5 yards short of the first down. Mike Davis is their big play receiver, David. They're only going to use him as needed, it appears. He's dealing with an ankle problem.
And he's an elite receiver in college football, a guy that goes deep and gets it. And then you look at Ash at the quarterback spot, who's out. I mean, they're missing some playmakers on this offense, some of their better players that they've seen step up that they've needed. But it's got to be other guys that step up and make plays.
Third down's been a problem for the Iowa State defense. But not this time, and a flag is going to come in. McCoy was looking for Marcus Johnson, and he was all tangled up with Jansen Watson. The flag came in, and it appeared to be rightfully so.
Pass interference, defense, number 2. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
So no Mike Davis on the field right away, but his backup is Marcus Johnson, a guy that made some plays against Kansas State. 6'1", going up against a much smaller corner in Jansen Watson at only 5'9". That's going to be a physical matchup to watch on the perimeter of the field. Remember, that's the position Mike Davis normally plays.
Both of these Iowa State cornerbacks a little undersized, vertically challenged, some might say. McCoy shows some motion. Now Case is going to take the big shot. He hangs it up there. And very fortunate it wasn't intercepted. Watson was on the coverage. 2nd and 10 coming.
Dave, you said it early. Case McCoy has to manage this game and keep the offense on schedule. Here he just kind of floats this football way up in the air. Very lucky that wasn't intercepted.
You know what? He's mad because you just said he was short, but look at the hops.
38-inch vertical.
That's
on
right.
This guy. He's got the best vertical on the team.
So who needs to be tall if you got ups, dog?
Got to be physical.
If you time it properly, there's no problem. Iowa State crowd trying to make it tough. Back to the ground with Gray. A seam. Jonathan Gray into the secondary. Jonathan Gray is on his way. Touchdown, Texas. 45 yards, and the Horns strike first.
And I tell you what, we talked about Mr. Gray. I mean, he's definitely their best back, but look at the hole. Look at the offensive line. Everybody leading up, everybody getting a hat on a hat, a great cutback, get north-south.
How about the vision?
They look pretty easy.
How about the vision, seeing that cutback?
How about the blocking, too? That's pretty nice.
The thing I love about Gray, there's a no-nonsense one-cut runner when he sees it, foot in the ground, north-south.
Anthony Farah is true on the extra point, and Jonathan Gray was moved into the feature back role. There's a stable of talented running backs in Texas, but Gray seems to be running away from the field, and the Horns are on top by 7.
In football.
It's been a sad week for the Texas Longhorn family. Legendary quarterback James Street died Monday of a heart attack at the age of 65. He led the Longhorns to the 1969 National Championship. He, of course, guided that victory against Arkansas, and President Nixon declared the Longhorns national champions. Never lost a game at Texas, 20-0. The Horns remembering James Street with his initials on the back of their helmets tonight. He's also a pitcher on the baseball team, had a couple of no-hitters in his career. He's the father of San Diego Padres relief pitcher Houston Street. Our condolences and deepest sympathy to the entire Street family and everyone in Texas who had such high regard for James Street. Kickoff goes into the end zone. They'll start on the 25. There has been a lot of news surrounding Texas. Also this week, DeLoss Dodds, the athletic director in Austin since 1981, announced that he would step down effective in August of 2014. He'll be a consultant and stick around. DeLoss has presided over 14 national championships in 4 different sports, including the national championship the Longhorns won in football in 2005. Basketball has been successful, so too has baseball. You see Greg Robinson, the new defensive coordinator, and Max hiding in there behind Robinson. The Horns off to a good start, but it has been a tough start, and some have perceived that Dodd's decision to step down would erode some of the most staunch support that Brown has gotten from the Texas administration. Sam Richardson pulls it down. He'll lose one. It'll be 2nd and 11. But Dodds has been on the job for a number of years. He had planned to do this, and the impact it is going to have on Mac still remains to be seen. But as Brown has pointed out, the best cure for all of the criticism is to win some games. And if they can make a run in the Big 12 and they're 1-0 in the conference, date with Oklahoma coming up after this one,
What game did you say is coming up after this one?
The Red River rivalry, my friend.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Back to the ground. It'll be 3rd down and 10. And that big one is coming up. And if you don't think this is a big one tonight for Texas, let them lose it and see just how big this goes. But they are off to a terrific start in the early going of this game. Season didn't get off to a great start following New Mexico State, which is a hapless team. They went to BYU and got gutted by Taysom Hill. Then Jeff Scott and Ole Miss pretty much did the same thing. After the BYU game, Brown decided to fire Manny Diaz as defensive coordinator and bring in Greg Robinson. Robinson was serving as an analyst for the Longhorns. He stepped into an on-the-field role. Richardson, the quarterback run. See where they're going to mark him, and mark him right at the 35, which is where he needed to get to the 1st down. He'll have Iowa State's first down of the evening.
Sam Richardson is a deceptive runner. 2nd on the team in rushing yards this year. Had a bit of a bum ankle for the last 2 games, but you see, great job. Nothing open downfield, big lane in front of you. Go take it and move the chains.
Timothy Cole misses the tackle, which has been Texas's defensive theme throughout this season so far.
Andre Diggs is coming on the blitz, and Richardson improvising and gets it out to Jarvis West. A little shuffle pass of about 7 or 8.
Yeah, and Greg Robinson dialing up the pressure. You drop both defensive tackles in a zone blitz. Watch both defensive tackles straight in the middle. Run right out of here. He's tricked. Richardson's tricked for a second. Nice pump fake. You got a tackle in the backfield. Nice little flip. You got to make some improv plays like that.
Well, we heard Sam say earlier, they're going to blitz more in this game.
2D tackles in coverage, baby.
Wimberly. He was a step away. Malcolm Brown, who had a tackle for loss in the first series, kept that from being a big game.
And this is a guy they got to get going in this game. Aaron Wimberly provides explosive plays. Out of the backfield, catching the football in the return game. They haven't had a running back in the last 2 years that could make you miss and take it the distance until they found out about Aaron Wimberly 2 weeks ago in a win against Tulsa.
Just had to go to Snellville, Georgia, baby.
A lot of playmakers down there.
Back to Wimberly. Wimberly on his feet and striving for the 1st down marker. And just as I was about to say, perhaps the most explosive, dominant player ever to come out of Shiloh High School in Snellville, Georgia, which, for those of you who might not know, is also the alma mater of our colleague David Pollock.
I tell you what, did you watch him, man? He's small. He doesn't make a lot of bounces outside. He doesn't no nonsense running, but good. Look at the receivers on the outside. Jesse pointed out in his tape. Texas has to be physical at the corner spot, coming up and stopping the run.
2nd is short. Wimberly, 1st down. Oh, there's a flag coming in the area where you might suspect holding. Good movement from the Iowa State offensive line. Let's see if they grab somebody to do it. Our referee tonight is Mike DeFee. In the Big 12, 8 officials. The alternate official keeps the pace of play up.
Personal foul. Illegal block below the waist. Offense, number 72. Peel back block. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 2nd down.
That's Brock Daigle. This is something we anticipated talking about a lot last week with Georgia Tech running the option, but there are only certain areas of the field that you can block below the waist, and they are trying to eliminate, as Mike DeFee said, the peel back block so that the defender doesn't see it coming back toward the ball. And that's what Daigle got nailed for.
Paul Rhodes wants to eliminate those mistakes when you make those explosive plays. This isn't an offense that creates a lot of explosive plays. You can't negate them when that happens.
Instead of 2nd and short, it's now 2nd and 13. Richardson keeps it. Texas plays zone read better that time.
It's going to be important that Iowa State runs the football with the quarterback. This defense, even though they look better against Kansas State, they're giving up 6 yards a carry to the opposing quarterbacks. A lot of times on zone reads, and they're inexperienced at that second level. We know Jordan Hicks lost for the season, a freshman Timothy Cole taking his spot, and of course Steve Edmond out for the first half of this game. Force this defense to prove to you that they're going to play assignment football.
Crowd a little quiet, hoping for a little more to cheer for on 3rd and 11. Pressure coming from Santos. Richardson escapes for a moment, throws it right at Wimberly's feet, and it'll be 4th down coming for the Cyclones. Timothy Cole was there.
This is the second time tonight I've seen Sam Richardson miss a guy that was open. At the top of the screen, they had an in route, and it was Tad Ekby running the in to the short side of the field, and he was open. There was an opportunity there for Sam Richardson to let that football go early. They missed a big shot down the sideline to Quentin Bundridge on a go route. Sam Richardson's got to start locking in, start trusting his receivers a little bit, let it out.
Vanderkamp gets no pressure. Shipley calls for the fair catch. He put it on the deck, and I think it popped right back up to Jackson. Let's see if he comes out of the pile with it. It is Texas football. A fortuitous bounce for the Longhorns will give Texas another possession. So a penalty hurts the Iowa State drive, and the Horns will have it for the second time when you come back.
Applebee's doesn't.
ESPN College Football Primetime is served by Applebee's. Applebee's 2 for $20 menu just got even better with the new Honey Pepper Grill. And in part by Nissan, premier partner of the Heisman Trophy.
A lot of good tailgating going on outside Jack Trice Stadium. So on our way in, thought we might as well sample the wares.
They do a good job tailgating.
That's a good
here.
setup.
I was driving around. They had started at 9 a.m. today. There were people out in the parking lot at 9 a.m. Thursday morning getting ready for tonight's game.
We got the theme of you talking again.
Yeah, put a quarter in. Put a quarter in.
Talking to
Put
Iowa
a quarter
State
in.
fans.
Don't breathe.
Case McCoy went right through the hands of Malcolm Brown. Jensen Watson had a shot at the deflection. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Going back. Case McCoy has to manage the game, keep the offense on schedule. He's not as talented as David Ash with respect to arm talent and running ability, but you got to avoid the turnovers.
Quick pass and knocked down immediately. Sam E. Richardson making the stop on Kendall Sanders. It'll be 3rd and long.
These guys might be short, and Sam Richardson's only 5'7", but they're physical. They'll come up and they'll pop you, and that's a great job right there, locating the football, making a play, setting up 3rd and long.
Well, now you are in a situation where it's 3rd and long, so now McCoy has to make a play. Backed up, but you can't make the wrong play. You can't make the big mistake.
There's a pass interference penalty on 3rd down on the first drive. McCoy firing to the outside, and Mike Davis in the game, and he has enough for the 1st down. Watson was on the coverage. Texas will move the sticks.
And it's good to see him if you're a Texas Longhorn fan, because he's a game changer. He's one of the best in the country at his position. He's got that speed. He can go up and get it. That's a great sign for Texas fans.
Dave, he's maybe the best deep threat in the country. Right up there with Devin Smith, Ohio State. This guy can get downfield. That's what he brings this offense.
Jay Johnson in motion. Pressure coming. McCoy gets rid of it. McCoy to Shipley attempt, but Jackson couldn't bring it down. Deion Broomfield on the coverage.
The offense, to me, on film this year has looked different when Case McCoy's been in versus David Ash. They're not pushing the football downfield as much. They've been protecting their quarterback with short, easy throws. I know quarterbacks hate to hear, I'm a game manager, but that's really what Case McCoy has to be today.
On the ground. Not Gray this time, and Malcolm Brown getting this series. Jaquez Washington on the stop.
And I don't really think you have to outthink yourself. I know you throw a screen in a bubble real quick on the 1st and 2nd down of this drive. Run the football if you're Texas. I mean, that really is, I think, the strength of this team, especially with your backup quarterback. Continue to run the football.
In these situations this year, 3rd and medium, 3rd and 5, a guy they love going to Jackson Shipley right here in the slot, Mr. Dependable.
McCoy was looking his way. Instead, finds Mike Davis. It's a pretty good third down option, too. 2 third downs, 2 conversions, McCoy to Davis.
The thing about McCoy, he's extremely smart. Excellent football IQ. And here, he wanted to go to Shipley, not there. Go to your second read the progression. His dad's a football coach. His brother's Colt McCoy. He understands the game and how to read coverage.
The 16-yard pickup. The ball sitting on the 49 of the Horns. McCoy, Shipley. Jackson Shipley, a short game before he's shoved out of bounds by Luke Knott, younger brother of Jake Knott.
You think Texas, speaking of younger brothers, you think Texas fans, when they hear McCoy to Shipley, just dream about the older days? Go the Wayback Machine 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Happy thoughts.
McCoy to Sanders doesn't work bad, and Sam Richardson proves to be a sure tackler. You know, that McCoy to Shipley connection, that started when these guys were in grade school there. Their dads, as you well know, I'm sure, from Colton and Jordan's days, are great friends. And Case started throwing to Jackson when he was in 3rd grade. Jackson was in 4th. Pretty good idea of what the other guy's going to do.
Should be.
3rd and 6. It's been Davis on 3rd down the last couple of times. McCoy to Davis, and he dropped it. He had the 1st down. It'll be 4th down. Jansen Watson was there to hit him. And the Longhorns are sending the punt unit onto the field.
I don't think Iowa State's going to bring pressure all the time because they don't feel comfortable leaving their corners on islands. But when they do, they have to get home and pressure the quarterback. Very fortunate. Should have caught the football, should have moved the sticks. But Iowa State, not a pressure team. They decided to bring pressure on that 3rd down.
Anthony Farah standing just across his own 40. Jarvis West back for the Cyclones, calling for the fair catch inside his 10. He does about the best he could, given the circumstance. Cyclones will be backed up deep in their own end. You come back to Ames.
Monday night.
Tonight's weekend menu brought to you by Applebee's. Boy, we have some honeys starting at noon Eastern time with Maryland and Florida State, and it'll wrap up on ESPN with Washington and Stanford. In between, the Buckeyes and the Wildcats. No, the Buckeyes have dominated the series, winning 28 of the last 29. You think there's going to be some points on the board, David?
There will be a lot of points scored. Kane Coulter, Mark at the back, they're going to score some points.
Sam Richardson. Richardson still on his feet, close to the 1st down marker as we check in with Scott Van Pelt. You do not, Scott. You don't just roll your hat out there and stroll out with a victory. Same here at Jack Trice Stadium in Ames. Perhaps you've heard that on a video game or on Saturday highlights. Iowa State's been good on 1st down. Just enough from James White, but the ball's on the ground. It appeared he had the 1st down, and Texas believes it recovered the fumble.
He just dropped it. He was going, and he was heading.
It is Texas football. That is the 10th turnover gained by the Longhorns this year, and the 1st fumble the Cyclones have lost all season.
One thing Texas has done a great job of in the last couple of games is creating those turnovers. You see here, the running back, he just drops the football and it goes between his legs. He wasn't even touched. And of course, that's James White. Never was able to secure the football after the handoff, and that's a gift.
Looked like he got kicked.
Oh,
yeah, how about that?
His own guy.
So we have a butt fumble. What do we call that? Butt kick?
Just lead back,
Heel
Jeff
toe.
Woody. Yeah, kicking the ball.
It was a reverse bicycle kick.
But it was good penetration by Cedric Reed to get in the backfield to drive the offensive lineman back.
So the Longhorns start this possession in the red zone. Golden opportunity to go up by 2 touchdowns on the ground. Great. I thought for a second that he had a little loose handle on that one as he picks up a couple.
Iowa State's defense has been incredible in sudden change situations recently. Their last 14 turnovers they've committed, they've given up only 3 points.
That was a field goal against Iowa this season, and Gray finds the sledding tough on 2nd down. Jaquez Washington on the stop.
And this is what they do. Bend, don't break. They don't blitz a lot. David, you mentioned that earlier. You don't see a lot of exotic coverages. They rely on keeping the football in front of them, creating turnovers, and playing great in the red zone.
And we talked about Texas being out of place on defense. Very rarely do you see Iowa State being out of place and beating themselves.
3rd and 6.
There's Jackson Shipley. Top of the
Cyclones.
screen in the slot.
The Cyclones thought Kennedy Estelle moved. McCoy had a receiver out in the flat. He also had one in the end zone, but overshot him. And Mike Davis couldn't pull that one down. And the Longhorns are going to try a field goal, further underscoring that stat. And what a remarkable job by Iowa State once again to rise up in a sudden change situation, but he did have Shipley open.
Guys, look, they had the smash route concept. The guy underneath and Shipley up top. That's a wide open throw.
It's not like Davis wasn't open
He
either.
had
I mean,
everybody
you had your choice. So you got to hit one of them.
It's a 29-yard field goal attempt for Anthony Farah. Farah, who battled a significant groin injury last year, is healthy, and he is true. So the fumble certainly could have been worse for the Cyclones, but Texas capitalizes with the field goal. Just a little too tall for Davis, but a 10-point edge for the Hornets.
College ball.
Case McCoy's hit 5 of his first 10, but probably thinks he should be 6 of 10. Just missed Mike Davis in the end zone. Horns had to settle for a field goal. So inside 2.5 to play in the first quarter. Texas up 10-0, taking advantage of the Iowa State fumble. Nick Rose knocks it out of the back of the end zone. And Jack Trice once again as we go back to Scott Van Pelt. And something to keep it from turning gray. I'd jump on board with that too, Scott. Bald man on campus. Yeah, he can't. Scott can't grow hair. He'd do away with his entire game day franchise if he grows hair. Sam Richardson looking for the big tight end, and he's got him. E.J. Bibbs, and E.J. shedding tacklers, and yes, E.J. it's a first down.
Sam Richardson's missed some open receivers downfield. He's got to just play catch, and when he's in rhythm, he's a very accurate thrower. When guys come open, the windows aren't always big. You see the tight end working on Dalton Santos, who of course is starting in place of Edmond because of the targeting foul in the second half against Kansas State. Those are the throws he has to make. Play catch with your receivers.
And Bibbs, who was a junior college All-American, coming in motion. Wimberly turning the corner. Wimberly into Texas territory, and another first down for the Cyclones.
I like how offensive coordinator Courtney Messingham has found success calling run plays to the outside. We talked about how the third-string center's playing in the middle. A lot of the success running the football, whether it's been Aaron Wimberly or Sam Richardson on the zone read, outside the tackle box.
Now for this series, their starting center, Tom Farniak, has returned. He's got an MCL problem, can't go every series. They'll try to get as much out of Tom as they can tonight. He solidifies the middle of that offensive line a bit. Richardson down the middle, Bibbs with a big catch. Still on his feet inside the Texas 30, and the Clones are on the move.
Bibbs is a big body at 6'3", 250 pounds, and there you see the physicality and the athleticism.
Well, and Texas wants to sell out. Watch these linebackers right here. Watch both the linebackers in the box. They want to sell out. They want to stop the run. They both come up, create a window right behind both the linebackers. That's what happens when you have so much quarterback run and running game success. Everybody gets over-aggressive.
Iowa State, his deepest penetration of the night. Back to Wimberly, looking for the edge. More success to the outside as he gets just inside the 20. Great pickup on first down. Wimberly averaging more than 4 yards per carry. While we were concerned about what Iowa State might be able to accomplish inside, found some room on the edge. Second down and 3. We're inside a minute to play here in the first quarter. The homestanding Cyclones trying to get on the board. Richardson leaves it with Wimberly. He's inside the 20 to the 19. Needs to get it close to the 17. Chris Whaley and Malcolm Brown on the stop.
So Iowa State has made it difficult for themselves so far in this game. Now they had a pass interference penalty. They had a fumble deep in their own end, a critical penalty on a long run by Wimberly. You're down 10-0, but doing a nice job responding on this drive, marching down, looking for points.
We're going to start the second quarter here in Ames with Iowa State looking at a big 3rd down and 2 opportunity. Texas has jumped on top. But the Cyclones are all in and fighting back. Big 12 second quarter when you come back. ESPN College Football Primetime, served by Applebee's as part of Tailgate Week. Fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. We start the second quarter in Ames. Texas on top of Iowa State 10-0, but the Cyclones in the red zone and looking at a 3rd and 2. We're going to call it 1 now. It's going to be a long one. Have to get it close to the 17-yard line. Jeff Woody, a short yardage specialist. Woody plowing his way in there, and I'm not even sure he got back to the line of scrimmage. It'll be 4th down.
When you're running against Texas and you're running inside, you're running into the teeth of that defense. Their best players inside, Malcolm Brown, Chris Whaley, Hassan Ridgeway, they're deep at defensive tackle. It's a tough place to earn yards.
So Cole Netton, a talented redshirt freshman who took over the place-kicking duties in the opening game against Northern Iowa, game the Cyclones lost. Starting kicker Edwin Arceo had missed a couple of field goals. Little mishandle, and Netton bends it just inside the right upright. Netton, but the back of the net, and the Cyclones are on the board, and Paul Rhodes has a drive pay off with a 3, and a good job on the hole. Watch Justin Coleman. It's a low snap.
It's a grab, a little 1-hop, laces out.
He's one of their starters in the slot, the wide receiver. You see the nice hands right there. Good job.
Coleman probably never anticipated getting any type of notoriety. Started his career at Nebraska Omaha and transferred to Iowa State when Nebraska Omaha dropped his football program. I don't think there's any danger of Ohio State ever dropping its football program, nor Northwestern. A top 16 battle in the Big Ten. Saturday night in Evanston as Urban Meyer, still undefeated as head coach of the Buckeyes, takes on a sneaky squad led by Pat Fitzgerald. Henrik Mark is going to be back.
Yeah.
Kane Coulter says that changes everything for them. Well, it'll be a good one on ABC Saturday night.
What about Ohio State's run defense this year? You know, when Henrik Mark getting ready to come back, you guys, Dave,
you're headed there.
Wow.
You guys are going to be out there, but you know, they shut down that running game from Wisconsin, giving up only 85 rushing yards
and they
a
were
game.
balling.
So can they slow? It's a different style attack
Way
from
different
Northwestern. They can get stressed a lot of different ways. That'll be fun to watch.
Wisconsin did have some success throwing the ball down the field to Abradaris. Northwestern can have similar success on Saturday night. Case McCoy about to get the ball back here. It's 10-3. Texas had a nice drive, and they took advantage of a turnover. David, what do you need to see from this Iowa State defense on this possession?
Well, I think it's what they're going to do. They're going to make you earn everything. And if I'm Texas, I'm going to continue to run the football. But I think they've done a pretty good job. They have to take advantage of opportunities. They had the pass interference play on 3rd and long that they could have gotten off the field. Then they had that screen pass that was tipped. You might could have made the interception. Iowa State defense, they have to make the plays that are there. When you get an opportunity to get a turnover, you got to get it.
McCoy on 1st down, the easy completion out in the flat. Malcolm Brown picks up 4, maybe 5.
Guys, I think in general, to your point, David, for Iowa State to win games, it's a simple formula. You got to play smart football. No penalties. They're the least penalized team in the Big 12. The turnovers, they're 12th right now in the nation in turnover margin. Flip the field on special teams. That's what wins this team games because they're not as talented athletically as Texas tonight.
Iowa State bluffed a little blitz. Luke Knott still stepping in there. No extra pressure. McCoy was not on target, but Kendall Sanders made him right. Nice grab by the sophomore.
And so far in this game, Iowa State hasn't really followed that formula. They had a chance to make an interception, a couple interceptions, as you mentioned. They fumbled the football, had a critical penalty on a big gain by their running back. They got to get back to playing Cyclone football, and that's playing smart.
On 1st and 10, here goes Gray. Jonathan Gray picks up about 9 on 1st down.
And this is an interesting formation that Texas does. You put Malcolm Brown, so now you got 2 tailbacks right there with Jonathan Gray, number 32 in the backfield. Kind of cross action, but run the ball to the left. It gives you a little bit more options.
McCoy feeling heat, and down he goes. The pressure coming from the outside and making the stop with Jeremiah George. Nick Crone was also in there applying the heat.
Jeremiah George is a lot of fun to watch. He's only 5'11", but he is tough to block. And you see him in the middle of the screen. Tremendous speed getting in. Malcolm Brown cannot make the block. Nice job there, too, by Crone. Getting in the backfield. They don't blitz a lot. We've mentioned that so far because they don't like the matchups outside. That was a calculated risk. A nice job getting home.
And Donald Hankins not at left tackle, too. Who's Texas's best lineman, not in the ballgame.
See if Sam can find out what's going on with Hawkins. McCoy getting pressure, had to throw it away. Coming after him was Mitchell Myers, I should say. 4th down and 8 coming.
You're starting now to see a lot of movement up front from Iowa State's defensive line. They're a little bit undersized. They have to move or risk getting eclipsed against a much bigger Texas O-line, but a nice job now by defensive coordinator Wally Burnham, dialing up some pressure.
He likes to dial up pressure, doesn't he, Jesse?
No, he does not. And I think it drives Coach Paul Rhodes crazy.
He brought him here because he's aggressive.
Was a defensive coordinator at Pitt for 8 years. He was a blitzing maniac.
That was Burnham's reputation for a while, too, but Wally sometimes thinking that discretion's the better part of valor when it comes to sending the house. Jarvis West fields it inside his 10, and Iowa State gets a good stop on defense. Heat coming on Case McCoy. Now see if the Cyclones can answer with an offensive drive. Paul Rhodes has put Iowa State on the map in terms of upsets. In 2009, they ended a 15-game losing streak against Nebraska and Lincoln. The 9-7 winning game if they forced 8 turnovers. 2010, the Cyclones went to Austin in the midst of a terrible season for the Horns and handed the Horns a loss. Perhaps the most notable win in school history came when Iowa State beat Oklahoma State a couple of years ago and knocked the Cowboys out of the national championship picture. And in 2012, they ended TCU's 12-game winning streak. Longhorns aren't ranked. They've only beaten Texas at one time in their history as Aaron Wimberly gets the carry on 1st down, and another good pickup for the junior from Snellville, Georgia. Time for the Aflac trivia question. We've already given you one of the answers. Which are the only 4 teams in the FBS to defeat a ranked opponent on the road in each of the last 3 seasons? This time they tried the middle, and it did not go as well this time around as Desmond Jackson was there to make the stop.
It's never gone as well tonight so far for Iowa State running in the middle, and it is important you find balance in the running game to stress the defense in different areas. But again, so far, outside is where you're making the most hay if you're the Cyclones.
Iowa State's converted only 1 time on 3rd down. They haven't had good field position. This is the 2nd drive that started at their own 8-yard line. They've had nothing better than their own 25. Richardson gets away from Jeffcoat. A lot of room for Sam to run. He has the 1st down, and he gets down across the 25-yard line. He'll move the sticks.
2nd time in this game on a critical 3rd down. We've seen Richardson get away from trouble. He's got hard focus downfield, soft focus around him, but when it breaks down, he's out. You see the deceptive running ability.
Well, and you see Jackson 99 and 44 Jeffcoat coming the same running lane. It's pretty simple. That makes it really easy. If you're going to rush the quarterback, keep him in the pocket and rush him. Don't both get in the same gap.
Sam's had a bad right ankle. It looked pretty healthy that time. That might be as productive as Iowa State has been in the middle all night. Pick up a 3 or 4.
I think you were thinking ahead right there.
The only 4 teams in the FBS to defeat a ranked opponent on the road in each of the last 3 seasons. That is tonight's Aflac trivia question. The answer,
wow,
Iowa State, Ohio State, Alabama, and Oregon.
It's pretty good company.
Iowa State has proven to be a well-coached, disciplined team capable of pulling the upset. The key is trying to take the next step. To do that, they have to recruit more difference makers. That's what Paul Rhodes makes no bones about. Richardson smartly pulls it down. If he had tried to get that ball to Bundridge, that's probably a touchdown for Texas.
So a smart decision. And one of the things this team needs to do better also in order to get better in the conference is great quarterback play, something that you haven't yet had for Paul Rhodes. But right there, Sam Richardson, they think he could be the guy to take this team to the next level. You saw a good decision right there from the sophomore quarterback.
Could use another one on 3rd and 6.
You're going to get man coverage from Texas. You're looking at it right down bottom. 3 guys for 3 guys. Man coverage on the top.
Yeah.
Somebody has to win. You're talking about quarterback. Somebody has to win a wide receiver to help the quarterback.
That's that big fella nearest to the interior of the line, Bibbs. Instead, he goes the other way. And what a grab in traffic by Bundridge. There's a flag down. Not so sure Bundridge didn't make the catch despite interference by the Longhorns.
And this is the guy I would find in man-to-man coverage. I'd throw it to Bundridge on the outside more often. A great job walling the defender off. He had the flag regardless, but they got to have somebody on the outside, and Bundridge is their most talented guy.
Pass interference. Defense, number 23. Penalties declined. Result of the play, 1st down.
And that's a matchup you like if you're Texas, because Carrington Bindum is your best cover corner on the perimeter. You see Bundridge here being physical. There's a lot of tugging and pulling, a lot of jersey grabbing. That's an easy call for the officials to make.
While he's getting hit, delivered that too on the back shoulder.
And Bundridge, the rivalry game against Iowa, had 7 catches for 146 yards and 3 touchdowns. They appeared to be out of the game. Bundridge had a couple of touchdowns late to give the Cyclones a chance. Chantrell Johnson in the backfield. Richardson faked to him. Was looking for Tad Ekby. He threw it behind him.
So this is what Texas hasn't done yet. They got to start winning the early downs on 1st down to set up obvious passing situations, because I think that's what they're built to do. They're built to stop you early, rush the passer off the edge with Reed and Jeffcoat, play man-to-man coverage on the outside and smother you. But you can only do that when you win 1st down.
Wimberly stays on his feet momentarily, but Dalton Santos getting the start.
And what I
Place
love,
of Edmond makes a tackle.
and what I love, guys, about what Greg Robinson has done since he's taken over, he's simplified the defense. Gets them lined up so they can play fast, and he plays to their strengths. And this is only his 3rd game as a defensive coordinator, understanding the personnel, but I think that's what they're built to do.
He didn't even know the guys' names. I mean, he watched them on tape. He just knew their numbers. They didn't know who this guy was walking in the locker room, and now you got to get to know him and how to put him in the right situation to succeed. And it's a tough job. It's tough to come in and just start to do. You have to do that.
So now 3rd and long, maybe a situation here. You see the man-to-man coverage again. Where are those defensive ends?
Richardson escapes, a lot of running room. 1st down, Iowa State. Richardson still on his feet, and another big quarterback gain on the ground against Texas. This one not on the design run, but Richardson doing it on the scramble, picking up 21.
Richardson sprained his ankle in week 1 against Northern Iowa. It was bumming him out a little bit. Wasn't able to do this a lot here in recent weeks, but the bye week helped him get back healthy. And you've already seen that's the 3rd time now on 3rd down.
And that's a busted play for the defense. You get 4 guys coming in the A gaps right there. Nobody right there in the B gap at all. It's an easy play.
Already 56 yards on the ground. Wimberly at the edge, inside the 35, and slammed down at the 34.
And that little 3-yard play it doesn't look great, and you're not going to see Oregon out here getting 50, 70-yard plays all the time. But if they just keep getting 3, Wimberly keeps running hard, Richardson keeps scrambling, making plays. That's how they put drives together. They're not going to kill you with big plays down the field. They just got to sustain drives.
And they're staying committed right now to the running game as well, which I think is impressive. Already they've run it 23 times in 30 plays. They're going to be patient with it.
Zone read, little bit of a crease. Ball gets close to the 30. 3rd down coming, Malcolm Brown with another stop.
Okay, so if you're Texas defensively, keep the quarterback in the pocket. If this is going to be a pass play. Now at 3rd and 4, obviously, everything's available. As you see the rush defense, their numbers this year and what they've given up on the ground, they've been gashed, and a lot of that's come from Sam Richardson.
Iowa State is just 10 yards short of what it's averaging per game on the ground for the season. Got 104 yards on the ground, average 113. Richardson firing, caught, Bundridge inside the 15, first down Cyclones. How about Quentin Bundridge going up the ladder?
He's the best receiver they have after the catch. He's their biggest threat downfield, making explosive plays, and he can climb the ladder too. 6'2". You see Richardson here, not as much pressure in front of him, but a great job stabbing the football in the air by Bundridge.
Iowa State driving in hopes of tying this thing up. Wimberly lined up in the pistol. Richardson to throw. Runs out of time, and he'll be sacked. Getting there first was Chris Whaley.
Chris Whaley, at 295 pounds, guys, used to be a running back 2 years ago here at Texas. How about that?
What you think about that?
Just the athleticism. I mean, these are the types of athletes Texas has, and that's a problem inside when you're playing a lot of this game with your third-string center. That's going to be an issue. We keep talking about it. That's one to watch. Even though Farniak's in there right now, he's not 100%. They got to be careful inside on the O-line.
2nd and 14. Back to the ground. Wimberly had a crease. It's just inside the 12. Santos with a little help from Adrian Phillips stopping him. Another third down coming.
I think this is another situation if you're Iowa State. Your best wide receiver, Quentin Bundridge, lining up against Texas's best corner, Carrington Bynum. You've won that matchup a couple times. You feel you're going to face man-to-man coverage again, and it looks like that's what Texas is lining up in.
Cyclones have converted 4 third downs on this drive. They've moved it 81 yards, but they need 9 more for a first down. Sam Richardson wants to make sure that he's got the right play call here. So Iowa State will spend its first timeout threatening a big third down play looming.
No matter how long you...
Tailgate week fired up by Kingsford Charcoal, and man, oh man, what a day it's going to be from noon until after midnight. Maryland and Florida State, they get it started noon Eastern time. Then Washington and Stanford, Keith Price and the Huskies, Bishop Sankey leading the nation in rushing, looking for a statement win. They beat Stanford last year. It was a little bit more of a puncher's chance type of deal. We called that game. Washington much healthier this time around. 3rd and 9 for Iowa State as they move the ball from their own 8 to the Texas 12, but needing to pick up about 9 here to keep the drive alive. Wimberly has it in the flat. He's got a lot of room, and Wimberly's into the end zone for his first touchdown of the season. How about that nifty call coming out of the timeout by offensive coordinator Courtney Messingham? Cole Netton on for the tie. And with just over 4.5 to play in the first half, Iowa State, which started the season 0-2, has pulled even. The longest drive of the season for the Cyclones, 15 plays, 92 yards, took over 7.5 minutes, and we're locked up.
ESPN College Football Primetime, brought to you by Wrangler. Real, comfortable jeans, guaranteed. And Bud Light, it's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
They're grilling up some fresh meat, and Cyclone fans have a little appetite for an upset.
Taking a look at that last touchdown, Reese, they want to get Wimberly on the swing. That's incumbent on linebacker Peter Jenkins to make the play, but they get a block with tight end E.J. Bibbs, who just kind of gets a piece of him, and that allowed Wimberly to roll in untouched. Nice design.
Kendall Sanders going to bring it out of his end zone, and turns out not to be the right move as he is stopped short of the 20-yard line. That's where the Horns will put it in play as we go to Scott Van Pelt. Ben Bozen, tight end, who the walk-on, gets a lot of playing time, was heard on kickoff coverage team being helped to the sideline. Good coverage by the Cyclones. Pins Texas inside his 20 as Iowa State's just tied the game at 10. To the ground with Jonathan Gray. And Gray tripped up just short of the 20. Third down conversion for the touchdown when the Cyclones had it.
And we talked about it. It's man-to-man coverage, but I also think the safety needs to do a good job right there coming up. A cornerback needs to come up. But I like the way Wimberly finishes that run, too, by the way, in the end zone. He could have just scooted the end zone, not be touched, but that shows you he's got a little attitude to him. He came right at him and said, come get some.
He probably wanted that touchdown because he had a long run against Tulsa that he got knocked down on the 1-inch line, and they ended up having to have Jeff Woody run it in. McCoy complete to Kendall Sanders, but not quite enough for the first down. It'll be third and short.
And guys, we're watching Iowa State fight. There's something about this Thursday, Friday night magic around the Cyclones team. 7-2 since 2008 on these types of games. They don't get the national stage often. They love the opportunity to make a statement. You can see Iowa State right now playing with their hair on fire a little bit.
And in the 7-2 on Thursday and Friday nights, they're just 20 and 36 on Saturdays.
Gotta play more weeknight games.
Trying to pick it up. Hit in the backfield is Gray, and he will not get it. Willie Scott, the fifth-year senior from Orlando, makes it a 3-and-out for the Horns.
The one biggest area of concern, I'd say, for Texas's offense this year has been short yardage situations, just not being physical enough at the point of attack. Willie Scott is only a 224-pound defensive end, and he's winning his battle up front and making a play in the backfield.
Farah standing inside his 10. Dual return men inside the 40 for Iowa State. Short punt. Jarvis West calling for the fair catch, and Iowa State will have its best starting field position of the game from its own 43-yard line. Jack Trice Stadium alive. Aaron Wembley went in for the touchdown. Cyclones have it tied. Now in the last 2:40, they can try to take the lead.
Applebee's 2.
Leaves are starting to change. That just means that the racing's heating up in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. They go to Kansas this week. Coverage starting on ESPN at 1 Eastern. Only 12 points separating the top 3 drivers, Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, and Kyle Busch. 7 races left in the chase. Jimmy Johnson won last week in Dover. Kenseth had won the first 2. Chase for the Cup continues on ESPN this weekend. 2:40 to play here in the first half. Iowa State feeling its oats and keeping it on the ground and running effectively as they have all season.
And I love it in this situation. Put the football in the hands of your best players on offense. An eternity left to go in this first half. You got 2 timeouts. Milk this thing, but your best players have it.
Some teams don't care about time of possession. Iowa State wouldn't be one of them. They've held the ball more than 18 minutes now in this first half. Back to Wembley. This time, not much room. He picks up 1 on second down. And need about 5 for the first down.
Think of the momentum that you could create if you were Iowa State and able to capitalize with points on this drive. Going into halftime with the lead against Texas at home on a Thursday night.
And Texas got him in 5 third downs last drive.
Converted them all.
5 for 5. So they just got to get off the field on third downs.
Got it up a little farther than I thought. It only needs 4, but still important third down. Iowa State has converted 6 of 9 on third down tonight, including all 5 on that 92-yard touchdown drive, as David mentioned. Richardson, make it 6 in a row. E.J. Bibbs on the grab. With 90 seconds remaining, clock stops while they move the chains. Iowa State still with a couple of timeouts to work with. You see the green field goal line is sitting at the 38. In pregame, as we watch Cole Netton with the wind, could knock it in from about 55 yards. That's what it would be if they get it to the 38. And Richardson has designs on a lot more than that. And it's Justin Coleman making the grab. And now they're at the 30 and within field goal range. But another first down will stop the clock. Just over a minute to play.
Sam Richardson is throwing the football now with a lot of conviction. There was some mustard on that throw. That back ankle looking pretty good as he's planning off it and throwing.
Also very efficient with managing the time. Now this is not going to stop the clock, short of the first down, but another completion to Coleman as we're inside a minute to play in the first half.
So now he's made good decisions all night so far, running and throwing. This is an area you don't take sacks, you don't turn it over.
Richardson deflected. It falls incomplete. Malcolm Brown got a hand on it. 3rd down and 3 coming. 42 ticks left in the first half.
And we need more from Jeff Code. I mean, he's a guy that he puts his hand on the ground and rushes the passer. He's slippery. He's got good instincts, but they've got to pressure Richardson too. But also, let's be honest, these throws are easy pitch and catch too. You said earlier, play catch. These are easy throws right over the middle. The linebacking core for Texas has to play better.
Expecting man-to-man coverage again if you're Sam Richardson. Inside, you got your tight end, E.J. Bibbs. Outside, you got Bundridge. Pick your best matchup.
Wants Bundridge. Got him. Oh, he had him, and Bundridge had it right in his hand, and I think he was going to try to run it to the house, and he dropped it.
He just got too excited. He knew he won on the route against Bindum, just took his eyes off the football. Looking to make a move. You've got to catch it first. That's a critical drop.
He was going to try to shake Santos and see if he could get it in the end zone, and he looked up too soon. Instead, they'll try the field goal. Cole Netton from 41 yards out. He's made a 37-yarder tonight. Is for the lead just before the half. It's on the way, and it is true. Well, Paul Rhodes, a demonstrative sort on the sidelines. He's the Cyclones with just over half a minute to play in the first half at home. Sam Richardson leads a nifty drive, and Iowa State has scored 13 straight points.
And it's been his legs and his arm. I mean, he's done a great job buying time, converting the sticks on 3rd and 10 with his feet, throwing to the open guy. And even on that last pass, Bundridge had a chance to catch it and possibly score. So you got to like the way the offense has responded from a slow start. Stacey Sorrell's trying to get them alignment hyped up.
Well, we saw the big 45-yard run for a touchdown on Texas' first possession with Jonathan Gray, but they really haven't had a lot of big play opportunities in the running game since then.
But they got to get back to that, and that's something they are going to discuss at halftime. Is starting to get back to that ground game. You've got a deep stable of backs, a much bigger, more physical offensive line than Iowa State is up front. You have to take advantage of that in this game.
Okay, Case McCoy is a veteran guy, but he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. With 33 seconds left here, how do you play this when Texas gets the ball back?
3 timeouts, and I'm a quarterback, so I'm saying you go for points.
Tell me where I get the ball first.
You're going to get it on the 25 because DeJay Johnson didn't want to take a knee, but he was convinced to do so by Joe Bergeron. Here's what Texas did early: the touchdown drive initially, the field goal drive, but 3 punts mixed in between.
I know Case McCoy doesn't have the same physical intangibles as David Ash, but guys, he started 70 games, he's experienced, he's played meaningful snaps in 50 and over his career. He knows what to do, and again, I know that Mike Davis is hurt, and I know that we haven't seen a lot of DeJay Johnson. You still have to like your matchups outside if you're Texas. Jackson Shipley, Marcus Johnson, Kendall Sanders. These guys got to make plays for you now.
Mike Davis isn't on the field at the moment. Bergeron out of the backfield. Joe Bergeron across the 35. Clock will stop to move the chains.
And a great play call by Major Applewhite. Every 2-minute situation. Get the drive started. Give yourself a chance. Easy completion. Move the chains. Get into a rhythm.
And Bergeron, get out of bounds. An easy opportunity. You got the first down. Run out of bounds.
Texas with 3 timeouts, but now with just over 20 seconds remaining. McCoy to the outside. It's incomplete. Good hit by Sam Richardson. Knocked it free. Kendall Sanders couldn't hold on.
You have to be impressed with how physical these very short corners from Iowa State have played tonight. Playing a lot bigger than their heights would indicate. And right now they're winning a lot of those one-on-one battles outside. They're not as talented or nearly as gifted as these athletes from Texas, but they're playing with a little bit more want to right now.
McCoy, right on the money. McCoy to Shipley into Iowa State territory with 11 seconds to go now. Texas They've got 3 timeouts and 11 seconds to go. I bothered grounding it here. Just use the timeout, and they do.
You talked about McCoy to Shipley. You've heard it a lot with Colt back in the day. But these two also have connected a lot of times for big plays over the years. And that's a huge big catch right there by Jackson Shipley.
And Mike Davis hadn't been playing. I mean, he started the game off, had some opportunities on 3rd down to move the sticks. Another one for a touchdown. He's got to get way up to get it. Case has to throw a better throw, but we haven't seen him since then. But a couple opportunities he had to make plays. And there's another one right there. You're right, Case. It's not on Case for everything. Some people got to help him out.
Okay, with 2 timeouts and 11 seconds here, if you get rid of it quickly, you can use the middle of the field. In terms of getting into field goal range, going in this direction, kicking into the wind, pregame, Anthony Farrow was good from about 48 yards. You would think they need to get the ball to the 31 to give him an opportunity to make the same length field goal he was making in warm-ups.
See our nice little cool green line we have now.
We have visual aids to enhance the viewing experience. Longhorns trying to at least get a tie before the half. McCoy having to buy some time in case Wisely throws it away. And now with only 5 seconds to go, David Irving was applying the pressure. You'd think probably what we have here is the home run ball. But we've seen a couple of those work. Last weekend, Florida State had one against Boston College. Ohio State had one against Wisconsin.
We've talked
Well,
about
that wasn't a Hail Mary, though. That was a laser beam from like 55 out.
But Iowa State, guys, bend, don't break. So keep the football in front of you. Do not let anyone get behind you in the back end.
Possibly the last play of the half. Now it will be. McCoy firing down there. A lot of guys. Did we have it? Touchdown, Texas.
Wow.
John Harris. Right on cue, it happens again. John Harris with his 2nd touchdown catch of the season. The 44-yarder gives Texas the lead going to the half.
We talked about how small the secondary is from Iowa State. He's the biggest receiver they've got. 6'3", 225 pounds. And guys, that's a play on offense you practice every week. You try to layer into the end zone with 3 different receivers looking for a deflection and a rebound. That time, they didn't even need it. Harris went up and just grabbed it and snatched it.
Hey, that's exciting. That can't happen.
No.
David, it can't happen.
No,
You gotta,
and Iowa State's defenders are sitting back there and they're waiting for the ball to come. Go up and spike the ball like it's a volleyball. Look at the guys. Don't try to catch it and pad your stats. Go up there and swat it straight into the ground. Go through the guy.
Deion Broomfield perhaps had the best chance. Jeremiah George was getting some depth from his linebacker position. He just never saw it coming.
Broomfield has to swat that ball down.
There's literally 4 red jerseys around this wide receiver when he makes the play, and they didn't even contest it at the high point. Now they're going to look at this again to make sure it was a clean catch and he has possession. He absolutely does.
Well, Broomfield was fighting with him for the ball.
The tie goes to the receiver.
Yeah, I mean, tie goes to the receiver, and he caught the thing clean at the beginning. Broomfield sort of got the JOP, jumped on a pile and grabbed the ball.
And we talked about Iowa State gaining the momentum with late scores here in the first half. If they bat that down, they have the lead going into halftime. And now what about if you're Texas? Things haven't gone great for you here these last couple series. What a play to retake the lead. And you're going to get the ball back at the beginning of the second half.
And I like McCoy stepping up in the pocket but not evading and then taking a shot and throwing it.
The ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
And they looked at it to make sure that John Harris had his catch, and he does indeed. The play stands as called in Texas. If the extra point is good, we'll have a 4-point lead on Paul Rhodes' team headed to the half, and that is a pop of the old balloon going to the break for the Cyclones.
Smart football. We talked about it, whether it's fumbling in your own end, dropping interceptions, penalties, and giving up a Hail Mary. What not to do when you're outmatched.
And how about a terrific drive by Case McCoy?
Yeah.
5 plays, 75 yards, 33 seconds. Used the timeout wisely. Threw the ball away when he needed to. Excellent drive by McCoy.
And I thought they got him into it perfectly, too. Running a screen, don't ask him to do too much. See if you really want to go for it. You get 10, 12, 13 yards on first down. It makes it an easier decision.
Samantha Ponders caught up with Mac Brown.
Coach, obviously, other than just putting 6 points on the board, what does that last play do for you going into the half?
It's amazing when you score right before the half. It gives you so much momentum. That's why we deferred, tried to score first. We did, and now we get the ball to start the second half. So we're up 10-0. Sam should have gotten a touchdown pass instead of the field goal. Hurt us there. Iowa State fights here. We know that. They play great on Thursday night. None of that's new for us. But that's a big play. A lot of momentum going in. We got to settle down, stop the quarterback runs on third down. He's killing us. Then he got hot when he made the third down runs. Kicking game's really been about even. We got to make some plays in the kicking game. We're a little ahead on the turnovers. Got to do a better job of turnovers.
Well, shoot, you answered all my questions. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Sam.
Matt gave us the rundown there.
That's how you do it right there.
Well, he's excited, and
Did he draw
should
this
be.
up?
After
This is
Harris
perfect.
making the touchdown grab, 17-13 Horns. Time to send you to the Land Rover halftime report.
Reese, thanks. Markman and Brian Greasy standing by looking at their watches, wondering if Coach is going to leave them any time to discuss. And listen, there was some debate here on the set. 33 seconds left. You're Texas. Do you even bother trying to make a go of it? They did, and they get that score. We just heard what Coach thinks of it. Mark Mando and Grin, what did you think of it?
Well, I thought it was a great play for Texas. Obviously, the momentum was all Iowa State at that time, scoring 10 unanswered points. But in this situation, you're taught since Pop Warner. Even myself as a big, fat kid, knock it down when I played this young kid. Get in front, knock it down, play the ball. It's elementary football. You turn around, you face it. You know the Hail Mary's coming as a defender. You've got 4 on 2. One person has to turn around and knock it down.
You have a lot of experience being in the end zone there, knocking that ball down?
Absolutely. I didn't run that far, but I got down there.
No, Iowa State, you're absolutely right. They got to knock that down. But you have to understand, for Texas, that was a critical way to end the half because they were outplayed by Iowa State. Should have been down 13-10. This quarterback, Richardson, for Iowa State, 7 out of 10 third downs. They played better than Texas in the first half.
Yep. As we sat here and watched, you made a comment. You felt like Texas was sort of sitting back and letting things happen to them. That's a completely different turn of events right there.
Absolutely. I mean, momentum in football is so important. Before you go to the half and when you come out is so important. The thing I don't like when Texas gets in trouble is things happen to them. They don't do things to the other team, and that's what we saw until the last 33 seconds.
Yeah, a gigantic momentum play there. Texas gets a touchdown, and as Mac just mentioned to Sam, they get the ball to start the second half, so it'll be a 3-point lead for the Longhorns in a pretty sudden change of events. They're hoping to trust themselves in Evanston. Here come those big, bad Buckeyes, and the fellas will be taking their picks of some of the biggest games this weekend, including that nightcap out west.
Welcome back to Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal.
ESPN College Football Prime Time, served by Applebee's. Part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal, and Case McCoy fired up after he threw a 44-yard touchdown pass in the final play of the first half to give Texas a 17-13 lead over Sam Richardson and Iowa State. Time now to look at our coaching adjustments brought to you by the Home Depot.
Texas's defense this year has really struggled containing quarterbacks in the pocket on critical down and distances. This one a third down against BYU. You got 3 guys to the left side, all kind of in the same area. Jackson Jeffcoat, the only defender on the right side of the pocket. Taysom Hill sees that and he takes off to convert a big third down. Well, we've seen that again tonight so far. Again, 3 defenders to one side, only 1 backside, not staying in their lanes. They have to play better assignment football.
And it's making it easy on the offenses when they can do this and they can just keep extending drives with the quarterback running game. And then for Texas, it's been a couple explosive plays. Big pass interference call on 3rd and long right before this play. Bray hits a home run, and then this big play right here. This was over half of their offense for the first half. Iowa State done a pretty good job, minus those 2 big-time plays.
John Harris hauled it in, and now the Cyclones' mental resolve is going to be tested here. Texas gets the ball first to start the second half after that Hail Mary at the end of the half, and Jay Johnson's going to bring it out. Thought we might see a little bit more of him in the first half. He's knocked out of bounds just short of the 25, but there are flags down on the field. One sitting at the 14 of Texas.
During the return, holding, return team number 31. Half the distance to the goal from the spot of the foul, 1st and 10.
Texas will be backed up inside its own 10-yard line as we check in with Samantha Ponder.
Reese, I asked Paul Rhodes about his message to his team. He said, number one, we just got to clear our heads. We played a good 30 minutes of football, stopped the run well, and ran the ball well. He said defensively in coverage they have to be better. And he said they're giving Case way too much time to throw. Got to get after him. I asked him if they're going to blitz more. He said we might, with a smile. I think that means yes.
To keep it on the ground with the first play, Sam, Jonathan Gray picks up a couple. I sit with a coach every Saturday in the studio who espouses the virtues of the last 5 minutes of the first half, first 5 minutes of the second half, and with that in mind, big series for Iowa State, for Texas too, for that matter. Try to build on the momentum. McCoy, complete. Hit immediately is Kendall Sanders, Jansen Watson on the tackle.
And to Sam's point, we're already seeing Iowa State more aggressive. 8 guys close to the line of scrimmage right in here. They're going to get physical. They're going to stop the run. They're going to start challenging Texas offensively.
Well, I think you're scared initially because you know Texas's playmakers and speed, but once you get your feet wet, you've done a good job stopping it. I like it. You can afford to be more aggressive.
3rd and 2, no running back with McCoy. He'll fire. And it's complete across the 20 to Shipley for the first down.
You know, it's interesting. We started the game talking about don't need McCoy to throw it around. Let him be a game manager. Doesn't it seem like he feels more comfortable when it's shotgun and they got a bunch of wide receivers in the game when he can read things quickly and play pitch and catch like his brother used to and the offenses he's accustomed to coming from?
It comes into the experience factor. He's played a lot of games in his football IQ level, understanding coverages and knowing where to go with the ball.
Jay Johnson swinging around, and now he has it, and he's got explosive speed. Jay Johnson across the 35 and up to the 40. It'll be another first down for the Longhorns.
He takes this offense to the next level. When he's on the field, he's the fastest player. He's the most explosive player for Texas. We saw him against New Mexico State in the first game, find explosive plays running the ball, on reverses, in the slot going deep downfield, on bubble screens. He takes this offense to the next level. We haven't seen him a lot so far.
He brings speed, Jesse. Gray hit in the backfield, loses a couple.
And you know, guys, he's also the best decoy this offense has. When he's faking handoffs and all those things, he's as important with the ball in his hands as without. And there you see David Irving, defensive tackle at 6'7". Converted defensive end, making a big play in the backfield.
Tall in the first down marker, you see that?
Wally Burnham told us yesterday that Irving could be as good as he wants to be once he decides to do it. He's taking a break now. McCoy going to pull it down. And with David Ash being back in Austin, still suffering the after effects of the concussion, Case didn't take much of a chance. He gets down. They have Tyrone Swoops behind him, who's an excellent runner, but he's a freshman quarterback. Not quite ready to go. There's Tyrone, gifted athlete. They're making the decision as to whether they'll burn his red shirt. Texas has converted just one of its last 5 third downs. Got to go a long way this time. Need 13. McCoy firing to the outside. And Watson and Johnson were tangled up over there. I was anticipating seeing a flag come out.
That looked a lot, Reese, like the very first pass interference call we saw. It was the exact same route and almost looked like the exact same outcome. But again, the shorter corners for Iowa State playing a lot bigger. And right now they're being a little bit more physical on the perimeter of the field.
So Texas moves it, create a little breathing room for Anthony Farah. And he unleashes a big one that's going to drive Jarvis West back inside his 15. The Cyclones have been backed up in their own end for much of the night. Iowa State gets to stop the initial possession of the second half. Now Paul Rhodes, the Iowa State Nation, trying to move back ahead of Brown and the Horns. 17-13, Texas on top.
Applebee's doesn't just...
every week for us is a Thursday night watch party. College football primetime served by Applebee's, and certainly all eyes of Texas upon this game and Abel's on the Lake in Austin as they try to pull the Longhorns through. And look who else is keeping an eye on the competition.
Hey, couple weeks down the road?
A week from Saturday, the Red River rivalry, Texas and Oklahoma. Gabe Eichert, Deron Neal watching. That picture coming courtesy of James Fraschilla, basketball colleague Fran Fraschilla's son, basketball player at Oklahoma. Big football fan as well, as Wimberly gets his first carry of the second half.
This will be big for Texas's defense here in the second half. We talked about it. Got to win on first down. Got to set up second, third, and long. Play to the strengths of your personnel in the scheme you play on D.
Iowa State's been productive these last 3 drives. Perhaps missed an opportunity for more on the last field goal. Carry by Wimberly gets up to the 20. That'll bring up third down and about 4.
And Steve Edmond was suspended for the first half of this ball game because of a targeting call. Santos has been in the ball game and playing pretty well. See if Edmond gets another chance to play. Sometimes you get Wally pipped, dog.
Very impressive, David. A little baseball reference as the playoffs.
Well, whoever guys is on the field right now, we talked about staying in your pass rush lane. Keep Sam Richardson in the pocket. Critical down and distance.
Iowa State 7 of 11 on third down. Richardson, and this time Jackson Jeffcoat grabs him. Santos was there to help. They'll force the Cyclones to punt it away.
And they did a great job in the first half getting to third down. They just couldn't get off the field. So great job. Santos obviously in on the play coming off his receiver, but Jeffcoat pressuring the quarterback without letting him get free.
Kirby Vanderkamp beyond the punt it away. He came in to the game averaging better than 44.5 yards per punt. He'll try to flip the field. Paul Rhodes uses him as a weapon to do just that. Vanderkamp didn't really get all of that one. Jackson Shipley, fair catch at his own 41. There is a flag down on the play. We'll check the flag after we check in with Scott Van Pelt. All right, Scott, it was holding during the return, so rather than put the ball in play from their own 41, Texas will back up 10 and put it in play from its own 31-yard line. So each team's had the ball in the second half. Nobody's really put anything together yet.
Curious to see what Major Applewhite's going to do as a play caller for Texas. Against Kansas State in the second half, Jonathan Gray carried it 17 times. They relied on the running game to help ice that game, help win that game. Do they get back to running the football, or do they stay aggressive with Case McCoy?
Joe Bergeron's a running back, and he's going out for a pass. Mike Davis back in the lineup. Couldn't connect with McCoy. Watson was on the coverage.
And they're spinning 7 in the box, and they're playing man coverage. There's no secret to what Iowa State's doing right now. Texas just has, we talked about Iowa State receivers winning on the outside. Texas receivers have to win on the outside.
Mike Davis did win a couple of times in the first half on third down. Pistol set, McCoy still has it. Case faked it, now he's going to go down. Jeremiah George from his middle linebacker position.
We had him as an impact player. He's got to be one of the quickest, one of the fastest linebackers in the entire country. When he knows where the ball is, he can get his 5'11" frame to that point quickly. Watch the speed, how quickly he closes on Case McCoy to make that play.
Jeremiah's had double-digit tackles in 5 of his last 8 games. Had 10 tackles against the Longhorns last year. The Cyclones looking for a tackle on third down. McCoy firing it into the middle. It is complete, and it is enough for the first down. Kendall Sanders with the grab. And McCoy throws a seed out there to Sanders.
And he throws it better over the middle of the field. We see the coverage on the outside when he's had man coverage. It's probably where he's supposed to go with the football, but McCoy's strength is really throwing it over the middle of the field, up the seam, underneath. Continue to do it.
I think part of the reason those outside throws are more difficult is because of the lack of arm strength.
Yeah,
giving defensive backs an opportunity to make plays on those passes.
Versus 3rd and 14. Case thinking about taking a shot. Running out of time. Now dumps it off to Bergeron, and Bergeron is hit immediately and knocked down by Jaquez Washington.
If Mike Davis is on the field, I guarantee you Case McCoy throws that football. We've seen so many times this year on plays like this, one-on-one outside. Doesn't look like Sanders has him beaten. He doesn't. But if that's Mike Davis with his ability to high point the football, that's a throw these Texas quarterbacks take. You can see Mike Davis not on the field, how that's affecting this offense and the quarterback's confidence.
Linebackers coming, but picked up nicely by Texas. Sanders out there. He was detained for a moment by Sam E. Richardson, unless they couldn't get together.
They lose the threat of the deep ball without Mike Davis on the field right now, and Iowa State's aware of that. That's why maybe they feel more comfortable playing man-to-man outside with shorter corners.
Well, he's on the field. He's just not effective. And he's got the ankle injury, and he's trying to toughen it out, but they would not be putting, Iowa State would not be putting a cornerback on an island against a healthy Mike Davis. Work the middle of the field. That's what you do well.
That's where Jackson Shipley lives.
3rd and 7. Middle. Knocked away. Richardson making the play.
Guys, at some point, Texas has to run the football again. They have to set up more manageable 3rd downs. They haven't done that early in the second half. Guys, we talked about it. Maybe got there a little bit early, maybe, but still.
I like that
he's
play.
He's 5'7", I do too, and I don't think that's a good no call.
What does him being short have to do with anything?
I'm just saying.
Why
I mean, you know, hey,
man?
you know, I'm giving him credit because he's playing bigger than his size. Good for them.
Farah driving West back. This time West is going to let it hit, and man, oh man, you want to talk about knocking his wedge stiff down there. Anthony Farah with a beautiful punt. Pins it on the 2-yard line. 53-yard punt down on the 2. Is that any good? You bet it is. Sam Richardson will try to get the Cyclones out of the shadow of their goalpost.
ESPN College Football Primetime. Brought to you by the all-new Buick Encore. The next big thing in luxury is small. And Allstate Insurance, proud supporters of college football. Are you in good hands?
I always grill in a suit.
Do you always burn the hamburgers?
I try to make them nice and well done for some.
John Saunders would have loved your hamburgers. They were like bricks, hockey pucks. They were so great, cooked through. You would have made John Saunders happy. Davey, meanwhile, eating the peanuts in the background.
All I was doing. I was like, y'all have fun. I'm going to eat.
Staying away.
Sam Richardson wanted to throw out of his end zone. Pulls it down and picks up a yard or so.
You know, this is a great area of the field as an offense to maybe try a deep shot. Try something play action. Defense expecting you to run the football and try to get some breathing room.
Just there.
Maybe use a hard cap, but take a shot deep downfield. Got to be careful, alert right now if you're Texas defensively.
To the beautiful punt by Farah. Longhorn defense trying to make it stand up. Iowa State has had tough field position all night. Richardson, half roll, buying some time, and Texas is there to snuff out the quarterback run. Into the game is Steve Edmond, who was suspended for the first half after the targeting call against Kansas State.
And look at the defensive confusion by Texas. No, you go over there. No, come back over here. No, you come back in here. Wait, no, back in the box. I mean, talked about dumbing things down and making it simpler. Guys got to communicate fast and make a decision. Now listen, it worked out fine and you made a good play, but got to get that knocked out.
And Chris Whaley being attended to on the field. We certainly hope it's cramps. It's what it looks like, but can't tell for sure. The senior from Madisonville, Texas. Saturday Night Football presented by Wendo's, part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal, and they are excited in Evanston. College game day on its way there. Pat Fitzgerald and the Wildcats ranked 16th in the country against Urban and the Buckeyes. 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 on the West Coast on ABC. Both of these teams, you know, early in conference play, a lot of times you don't quite have the common opponent measure. Both of them played Cal, won by similar margins, and boy, Braxton Miller was good against Wisconsin last week.
Controversy?
Urban Meyer made the right decision starting Braxton Miller. Keep in mind, guys, Northwestern has had a lot of pick sixes this year, but they give up a lot of passing yards. You know right now. But that's
okay. You can have all the yards you want. That's about points.
Yeah, a lot of those interceptions, deflections, being in the right place at the right time. Braxton Miller, I don't think is going to miss very much. They're going to have to be better with their coverage in this game.
Need a few breaks. Coulter and Marks, a heck of a duo, buddy.
Texas wants to be good on its coverage on this 3rd and 9. Richardson firing over the middle. Brundage has it. Brundage off to the races. A Cyclone is free. Bindum is chasing him, and he doesn't have enough speed. Touchdown, Iowa State. Pass play in Iowa State history, and it gives the Cyclones the lead, 97 yards.
We talked at the start of the game about Iowa State wanting to take advantage of Duke Thomas, the corner for Texas, who's been eaten up a little bit this year. Man-to-man coverage, their best wide receiver against Texas's worst corner. That's a long touchdown. Wow.
I'll see your lightning strike on the last play of the first half on a Hail Mary and raise you a 97-yard touchdown pass. Quentin Bundridge showing his heels to the field. Nothing but green grass and opportunity as Paul Rhodes' team has taken the lead by 3.
ESPN.
Thursday night magic striking in Jack Trice Stadium. Cyclone fans are alive. A 97-yard touchdown strike from Sam Richardson to Quentin Bundridge, the longest pass play in Iowa State history, longest play ever at Jack Trice Stadium, and Texas finds itself behind with 6.5 to play. Here in the 3rd quarter, Deshae Johnson gets away from a couple of Cyclones. There are plenty there to corral him as he gets across the 20. How did Bundridge get this loose?
Greg Robinson got aggressive, playing man-to-man with the free safety. No help against Bundridge running the in route at the bottom of the screen against their worst corner. He did not bring pressure. They couldn't get home on Sam Richardson. And what about the chip here? Look at the running back slowing down.
Look at this throw. I mean, I don't agree with cover 1 by any stretch of the imagination, but that was a dime. That was a perfect throw. I wouldn't have called that defense, and Bundridge does the rest.
He made big plays against Iowa. It wasn't enough. He's over 100 yards receiving. Almost had 100 yards in that play. Mike Davis, a big play guy for Texas, slips the first tackle. Picks up about 8 on first down.
Well, Iowa State tonight, guys, has done a lot of things to hinder themselves, be it penalties, turnovers, giving up explosive plays. That was a potential momentum-shifting, game-changing type play, and they just got back right there.
Now it's on Case McCoy. Answer, he's going to take a shot. He's got a man out there. It's Davis, and Davis has it knocked away. It'll be 3rd and short. Jansen Watson on the coverage. Jansen a little slow to get up.
And that's a matchup you'll take every single time. Mike Davis is one of the better guys in the country at doing this.
Great coverage.
Almost went up over the top and made the play. That'd be a huge loss for Iowa State, the way he's played on the corner, too.
He is their best cover corner outside. He's also their fastest player on defense. So that's a guy Iowa State cannot afford to miss. And remember, he's on the island most of the time. When Texas goes to a 3-by-1 formation with an isolated receiver on the backside, it's Jansen Watson that's responsible with covering him one-on-one.
Jansen walking it off. Iowa State's done a good job of recruiting the state of Florida. Watson, a senior out of Kissimmee, and now he'll have a seat on 3rd and 2.
So we mentioned Texas has really struggled this year on short yardage situations. Earlier in the game, they got stuffed on a situation just like this.
Now replacing Watson on this play is Nigel Tribune. He's a freshman from Jacksonville, Florida, and he's matched up on Davis. Top of your screen. Right to Davis, complete, 1st down, Texas.
That's pretty smart. I mean, let the freshman come in and cover your best playmaker. Great job. Over the middle throw, making it easy.
He's not 100%,
I'd keep
guys.
using that matchup.
Yeah, he's still effective, even though he's not 100%.
McCoy dumps it off. Flags flying in all over the place. His case tried to get it to Joe Bergeron.
Holding. Offense. Number 72. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
It's the veteran Mason Walters making his 43rd straight start. And
I think he thought it was
just
a
wrestling takedown.
Jeez, Reese. Body slam right there. That's not legal, Mr. Davis?
I think the nature boy Ric Flair would have been proud of that body slam.
Well, guys, he started 42 games in his career, 43, so he probably knows that's not legal.
David Irving out of the game at the moment as McCoy deals with the 1st and 20. Davis has another catch in front of the freshman Tribune. And he's knocked down at the 40.
And you see the true freshman Tribune now starting to play way off. He got smoked a few plays ago, bump and run coverage on a critical down. Young guy, maybe not the most confident young corner right now, playing against the best wide receiver for Texas, and he's giving him his due respect.
Davis on the gimpy ankle, 5 catches for 56 yards. 2nd and 12. Blitz coming. Knott is picked up. McCoy firing out, looking for Davis. And Tribune was covering him, and a flag flew in there. They're going to get the freshman for interference unless they call the pass uncatchable.
That's what I was going to say. Watching that live, I don't think Mike Davis could have made a play on that ball.
It's what Paul Rhodes believes.
Pass interference. Defense, number 34. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Take a look at this again. It's just a straight go route. Nice job by Tribune early. It's a lot of action. I don't know.
You know, I like the call because if not for the interference, Davis would have at least had the opportunity to make a play along the sideline. I think that's a reasonable call.
Dive out and stretch it. Texas has just avoided running the football here in the second half.
Corner blitz coming. Texas has picked up the blitz very well. And this has been a rough series for Nigel Tribune, who grabbed the jersey of Mike Davis. He's going to get called for interference again.
And Mike Davis obviously has been getting a lot of the touches since the freshman came in at cornerback, but it was a nice double move.
Okay, now watch what they're doing here, guys. They're swapping cornerbacks. It looks like they're moving.
Yeah. Defense, number 34. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
They're moving Tribune to the other side of the field as you watch the play back, and they're putting Sam Richardson on the other side against Davis.
So that means Wally Burnham is not willing to take a defender out of the box to stop the run. There's 2 things you can do. Switch the corner up or start giving your corner safety help. But if you do that, 1 less player close to the line of scrimmage.
Back to the ground, Bergeron. Bergeron bounced to the outside. Joe Bergeron powering his way into the red zone. First down for the Longhorns.
That's what they got to do. Detect guys. That's their 3rd rushing attempt of the half only. You have to stay balanced. And I agree with letting Case McCoy throw it because he's made good decisions. He's earned that trust. But you got to be balanced.
Back to the ground. Bergeron bursting into the secondary, and he's cut down at about the 5, but it may be the 6. But at any rate, it'll be 1st and goal for the Horns.
So they said, fine, if you want to move if you want to move somebody else, then I'll put Mike Davis on the other side. Just run the ball right up the middle.
Bergeron into the end zone, and Texas regains the lead.
It's not rocket science, guys.
There is a flag on the play. It is sitting in the end zone. Might have been keeping a close eye on the freshman Tribune. It's over on his side of the field again.
That's kind of where he's pointing right now.
After the score, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, scoring team number 1. That 15-yard penalty be enforced on the kickoff.
So they call the penalty on Mike Davis. Mack was incredulous about it. Let's see what Davis did.
Oh,
you know what? That
good.
What a terrible thing to do.
You deserve it.
Yeah, Mike Davis deserved that penalty. He hit Deion Broomfield.
I was just about to say, when you have that good of a drive individually and you make that many plays for your team, you might forget about it, but that's just dumb.
Texas gets the score, but they'll have to kick off from the way back. Texas just took advantage of a couple of pass interference penalties, and then Joe Bergeron carried it for the final 3 plays. The 30 yards on the drive went into the end zone, and Bergeron puts Texas back on top of Iowa State 24-20. But the Longhorns, after the personal foul penalty against Mike Davis in the end zone, will be kicking off from their own 20-yard line. Penalty assessed on the kickoff on the touchdown play. That's Jansen Watson from Iowa State you saw walking around. He's the cornerback who had to leave the game, and Texas immediately went to Mike Davis and picked on his replacement, Nigel Tribune.
I think he just said, I'm good. I'm going back in.
I'm ready to go.
He knows he needs to.
You know what Paul Rhodes is going, please?
Thank goodness.
Let's get you back in there ASAP.
That's what Paul's saying. Meanwhile, Mac Brown, thankful for that answering drive after the 97-yard touchdown strike. And as we get deep in the third quarter here in Ames, desperate Texas team having to deal with Iowa State. Jarvis West looking for running room. West has a little seam. West turning the corner, gets a block, steps out of bounds at the 48, maybe the 49-yard line. An excellent return of 39 yards as we check in with Scott Van Pelt. And Scott, how about this? Northern Illinois, the first Mid-American Conference team to beat 2 Big Ten teams in the regular season. Opened up with a victory against Iowa. The Hawkeyes' arch rival, the Cyclones, have their best starting field position of the night, and they go with a reverse to Jarvis West, who just had the great kickoff return, and Texas was ready for that.
Well, the reason Iowa State now is set up in great field position, Iowa State hasn't had a return yet because of Mike Davis's 15-yard penalty. You have an opportunity almost to have a kick return, but now you get it out near the 50-yard line in good position. That's why you don't make bonehead plays like that.
Sound defense on the
Jeff Coates, great job.
Yeah, last reverse. Flag flies. Wimberly. Flags on either side of the field. This is probably coming back, but a nifty run by Wimberly. We'll see what the call is.
Illegal formation, offense. 5 men in the backfield, 5-yard penalty, replay second down.
You know, it's interesting, guys, watching Texas after giving up that long touchdown catch. All of a sudden, not playing as much man-to-man now on this series. They're playing a little bit more zone, getting away from what they've been doing since the Kansas State game. Trying to change it up a little bit after getting burned.
After going 97?
That'll do it to you. Back to man-to-man right here, though. It's a little bit mixing it up. Big guys on the field, 3 linebackers.
And by the way, Bundridge is taking a break. You see him out there. Richardson fires complete. It's into Texas territory. Tad Ekby making the grab.
No matter what Texas does, guys, whether it's man coverage or zone, they've got to get home to the quarterback. You know, you hear about the talent, the guys they have outside, Jackson Jeffcoat, who's a good pass rusher, Cedric Reed, who's a good athlete. These guys have to start showing that now and get home.
Talked about all those blitzes that Robinson put in, too, with the extra time to prepare for Iowa State. We haven't seen a lot of it yet.
This could be a situation right here, 3rd and long.
Richardson adjusts Wimberly. He picks up a rusher. Sam's got some room. Can he elude a tackler? He does. Richardson appears to have the first down. Another quarterback scramble that is productive for the Cyclones.
And it's the same thing with this Texas defense. They bring the blitz. Look at this gap you're going to have right here. Everybody comes. You're overloading one side. Great. What about the other side? It's horrible.
Is it scheme or execution
No,
scheme?
I think it's execution. I think it's guys understanding where they're supposed to be and what gap they're supposed to fill in.
Iowa State moves the chains on 3rd down as a result of the breakdown. Now Richardson going to take a shot, throws it just a little bit low, at a couple of receivers in the same area. I think he was looking for Tad Ekby.
And that's disappointing, guys, on defense, because we talked about Greg Robinson simplifying this offense. The thing about Manny Diaz, and I think he's a good defensive mind, he's very exotic. He had a lot of different crazy blitzes, and I think at times the defense got confused. They gave up 550 rushing yards to BYU because they didn't always know where they had to be. That shouldn't be the case under Greg Robinson, because guys just line up. It's simple. Line up, play your assignment. It's not supposed to be confusing the way he coaches it.
It was 550 yards, 259 to Taysom Hill, who was wearing a knee brace and couldn't complete a pass. Richardson. This time they get home and put him down, and it'll be 3rd and a mile for the Cyclones. Quandre Diggs coming on the blitz.
He said, enough of this. We're bringing the house. We're bringing everybody. Every gap's going to be accounted for. Linebackers, corner, whatever. We're bringing the house.
But see, I like that, David, because now we're not just bringing linebackers. I'm going to dial it up and bring some speed. I'll bring some DBs, and a guy like Quandre Diggs, who's been my nickel DB playing in the slot, I'll get home to you faster.
Iowa State's 9 of 14 on 3rd down. They got a long way to go here. Richardson's in a world of trouble, and he is sacked again. Chris Whaley was back there. Malcolm Brown was there. And Iowa State, after getting its best starting field position of the night on the terrific kickoff return, will have to punt it away.
And Chris Whaley, Jesse talked about him, former tailback a couple years ago on the inside rushing the passer. He got there in a hurry, made Richardson tuck it down, and surprise, surprise, they catch him in the pocket.
David, I think the pass rush should look like that more
all the
consistently
time
because of the talent they have up front.
Vanderkamp going to try to pin Texas down deep, as Farah did earlier, but not as effective. Jackson Shipley makes the fair catch, and Texas will have it at the 16-yard line. Tailgate week fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. Maryland and Florida State will start at noon Eastern time. A full day of football on ESPN. We'll cap it off with a terrific Pac-12 battle. Keith Price in Washington, Kevin Hogan and Stanford. Boy, Hogan all of a sudden, instead of having all those Humvee-sized tight ends that Stanford's had in recent years, he's using the guys on the outside. Juiced, Montgomery,
Rexer.
Explosive. Yeah.
When was the last time you said that when you play Stanford? You really got to watch out for the explosive passing plays outside. You're supposed to be able to stop the run and absorb the body blows.
That's Sherroyd Evans. They're working on.
And that's big, guys, because that's Duke Thomas's backup in that boundary corner spot. So Duke Thomas, who's given up a couple big explosive plays, they've gone to Sherroyd Evans, try and kind of weather the storm. Now what do you do if you're down one guy?
Bergeron's been the change of pace back. We've talked about Jonathan Gray being the feature, but last drive, I think he's angered. I think he said, I want more touches. A couple of touches, scored a touchdown after Mike Davis really softened up that coverage a little bit. Iowa State with a big injury at corner, too, to see if that situation gets solved.
And they got to get back to that in the second half. I mean, you look at Texas up front on their offensive line. They are so much bigger than Iowa State. Iowa State defensively only averaged 261 pounds per player. And this is one of those situations. You're up in the game. You're winning by 4 points. You have to start imposing your will. And Case McCoy's taking care of the football. He's made good decisions, and Mike Davis now looks like a weapon, and he's made some plays. But get back to doing what you've done a very good job of so far this year, toting the rock with a deep stable of backs.
So Evans being helped to the sideline. We've mentioned tonight, Texas without Jordan Hicks for the rest of the year after he tore an Achilles. Mike Davis has been banged up, dealing with an ankle, but he's been effective, particularly on the last drive. And returning to the game is Jansen Watson. He is at the top of your screen, lined up across from Mike Davis. Case McCoy eludes the rush from Crone. McCoy then has it batted down, and that thing almost somehow hung in the air as Jeremiah George got it. And it looked as if for just a moment it might be picked off.
Jeremiah George is making his presence felt in this game. Not necessarily in coverage, but he's cleaning up mistakes. He's been a bit of an eraser when Case McCoy has gotten outside. You see that unbelievable closing speed by the middle linebacker.
Mitchell Myers almost had the ultimate, look what I have, and I'm going to go
David
score
Pollock
with it.
Interception, South Carolina.
Pollock planned that out. What, Tucson 2 open stud, 90% rollout pass, right, Pollock? Have I got that down?
Bad coaching by Holtz.
McCoy throws it. There's a flag down. He overshot Shipley. And we'll see what the call is. David Irving was the one applying the pressure.
Holding. Defense, number 93. 10-yard penalty. Yardage results in a first down.
For the defensive holding penalty,
It's actually a good
dismayed.
call. I don't say that very often.
I'm shocked.
But you see Jensen come in there. Watch him grab the center and pull him so Irving could come around. Look, he's got a hold of his jersey.
You guys are always
That's a pretty good.
You are always cheating up front.
Who's you guys? Defensive linemen?
D-line.
Oh, because
Always
offensive linemen
to cheat. Always
never hold.
Always trying to find.
Don't get me started. I will spear you in this booth right now.
Every little advantage.
McCoy firing and knocked away. Excellent coverage by Sam Richardson, who's had both Sam Richardsons have had good games tonight. The one that plays quarterback and the one who plays cornerback.
So you wanted Texas to line up and pound it a little bit, huh?
I need him to. I mean, really. I mean, I think they can have success with that. I think they can line up and impose and lean on Iowa State defensively at this juncture in the game. And they've really gotten away from the running game. They've been almost one-dimensional in the second half.
Final seconds of the third quarter. Case McCoy, screen set up. Gray has it, and he might have had big yardage if he'd been able to keep his feet, but he couldn't, and it'll be third and long. Almost certainly the final play of the third quarter, and we'll head to the final 15 minutes at Jack Trice Stadium. 4 points separating Texas, a Longhorn team that's been under fire, under scrutiny, and now they're in a fight in the fourth quarter here in Ames. 24-20, Texas has the lead.
Visit WatchESPN.com or download the Watch ESPN app to watch ESPN live anytime, anywhere. Brought to you by Vizio.
College football primetime served by Applebee's. Fourth quarter starting in Ames. Reese Davis, Jesse Palmer, David Pollock, Samantha Ponder. We've got a good one. Texas up 24-20, facing a 3rd and 11 from just inside their own 25. Case McCoy gets rid of it. Complete. Has his man out of the backfield, Malcolm Brown, but he will be hit and stopped short of the first down, and the Longhorns will have to give it up.
That was a tremendous job by Iowa State's defense, showing something and then painting a different picture after the snap. They looked like they were going to bring pressure. I think Case McCoy thought he had a throw outside to Mike Davis one-on-one. The last second, linebackers jumped out, got underneath that route, forced McCoy to check it down.
Jarvis West. Back, so too is Devondrick Neely. It'll be West. 15 makes the fair catch. So Iowa State will have it back, 85 yards away from the goal line as we check in with Sam.
Yeah, some bad news on the Texas sideline. Sherrod Evans is out for the game with a right knee injury. But one other thing of note, right behind me just a few seconds ago, Tyrone Swoops was warming up on the bike. We do know that they had some special packages they've been working on with him for weeks, but he did get the most first-team reps that he's gotten all season this week in practice. Obviously, they don't want him to get his first reps against OU should they burn his red shirt. We'll see if he gets in there tonight.
Now, Sam, part of the problem and the dilemma for Mac Brown as it pertains to Swoops is the health of David Ash and how soon he'll be able to return to health. And he's missed a lot of time this year. Wimberly slipped the first tackle and kept it from being a loss, but might have gotten one.
And that's the problem. This Texas offense, I mean, it's not an excuse, but it is an excuse. And I hate to use it, but David Ash is a lot better than McCoy. I mean, you look at Mike Davis on the outside, one of the better playmakers in the country. He hasn't been able to play. I mean, you look at Johnson, number 4, one of their move guys that really does a lot of different things. This offense hadn't been together yet.
Left it with Wimberly. But in fairness, David, I mean, McCoy's numbers are pretty good. He's led some touchdown drives. Davis has 5 catches. He's been pretty good on third down,
Injuries
too.
at the end of the day are not an excuse for this team because of the depth and what they can recruit. It's not USC. It's not Penn State. You're not on sanctions. Florida lost their starting quarterback and their best defensive player. Georgia lost their best wide receiver. At the end of the day, you are still expected to win because of the talent on your field.
That's why this final 13:52 so important to Texas. Oklahoma's looming. Criticism within the Longhorn family of the head coach Mack Brown. Richardson fires over the middle. Bundridge made the grab. And Mikel Thompson, who couldn't corral Bundridge and help on the long touchdown play this time, was ready for it.
But a great job of knowing where the first down marker was. We haven't seen a lot of this out of Texas's defense. Alert play, standing 10 yards down the field. As soon as he lets it go, you tackle him. You give him the 6-7 yards. That's fine. Stop him short of the first down. Great play.
Kirby Vanderkamp standing inside his 10. Jackson Shipley awaits the punt. Vanderkamp needed a pretty good one, and he got it. Shipley makes the fair catch. They'll mark it at his 31-yard line, and the Horns will have it back. A 4-point lead, just over 13 minutes. A little frustration from Mack and perhaps from Greg Robinson, too, but the Longhorns continuing to fight, and they have a 4-point lead on the Cyclones.
Never saw eye to eye.
Well, every week can change the season, and every week for Texas is going to change perception of where the Longhorn program stands. In 2009, they went undefeated in the regular season before losing the national title game to Alabama. The malaise and the hangover carried into 2010, a losing record. In 2012, it appeared to be a bounce-back season. 9 wins, beat Oregon State in the Alamo Bowl. 2013 was supposed to be the year, but a disheartening loss on the road in Provo, followed by a loss at home to Ole Miss, and the firing of Manny Diaz has left Mack Brown under fire. Been spanked by Oklahoma the last couple of years as Bergeron breaks a couple of tackles and gets across the 35, and he put the ball on the deck, and Iowa State says it has it. Rhodes is on the field celebrating, and they do. Jared Bracken's coming out of there with a loose football. Willie Scott knocked it free, and the Cyclones are set up.
When you fight for extra yards, first of all, it makes a guy miss in the hole, fighting for extra yards, and you see it right there, the ball is clearly out. You see it all the time. You got to get the extra yards, but you got to take care of the football while you're doing it. And what a great strip, too.
How about the game by Willie Scott so far, guys? The undersized defensive end had a huge stop on a 3rd and 1 early in this game behind the line of scrimmage, and now gets a huge strip. Guys, 6 fumble recoveries for Iowa State coming into the game, averaging 2 a game. They are excellent at doing that.
That is not luck. When the guy reaches in and grabs the football and rips it out, that's guys in the moment being able to concentrate on the football, not just trying to make a tackle. That's skill. There are some lucky breaks, but that was skill.
Now, from the Texas 37, Sam Richardson. Well, they try to strike quickly in sudden change. Richardson going to run, and there is a lot of room. Richardson inside the 30 and slides down after picking up the first down inside the 25. And Richardson having a tough time getting up. We mentioned that he had a tender right ankle. The crowd here at Jack Trice wanting a hit called on Bindum after the slide from Richardson.
Once again, guys, massive gap left up front by the defensive line as we take a look at Richardson going down, and what may have caused him to be hurt on that play.
Richardson, very effective, very judicious with his passing. He's sack yardage loss, he's hurt his rushing total. They give it to Wimberly. Wimberly turns the corner and gets just inside the 20. They're going to mark him right at the 20-yard line.
Guys, again, we talk about the decision-making Sam Richardson had all night. Running the football has been big, and when you play a defense that plays a lot of man coverage, defenders have their backs turned to you covering guys, and those are the best defenses to take off running when you have those chances and those looks. Sam Richardson's done that tonight.
Richardson has run for 5 first downs tonight. He'll leave it with his running back. Wimberly into the secondary, inside the 5, still on his feet. Touchdown, Iowa State. The fumble by Bergeron turns out to be most costly as Iowa State regains the lead here in the fourth quarter. How about that run from Wimberly? Wimberly approaching 100 yards on the night. He's coming off a 137-yard performance in the Cyclones' victory against Tulsa. And the pride of Snellville, Georgia is lighting it up in Ames, Iowa tonight. And he has Jack Trice alive as the Cyclones are going for a little more Thursday night magic against Mack and the Horns.
ESPN College Football Primetime is served by Applebee's. Applebee's 2 for $20 menu just got even better with the new Honey Pepper Grill. And in part by Lexus, introducing a car designed with one purpose, to stand apart. The all-new 2014 Lexus IS. It's your move.
You don't just stroll into Jack Trice Stadium on a Thursday night and waltz out with a victory. Texas is finding that out the hard way. Aaron Wimberly just put the Cyclones back on top, 27-24, 5 lead changes we've had. Jay Johnson will bring the kickoff out of the end zone for Texas. And Johnson will be knocked down at the 15 as Case McCoy goes back to work. Show us the last touchdown.
Guys, Texas right now is struggling at linebacker. This is Timothy Cole, freshman, playing for Jordan Hicks. Can't get off a block, and then Edmonds fills in the wrong gap outside. That allows Wimberly to just go right up the middle. You know, it was a couple years ago, guys, Emmanuel Acho, Keenan Robinson were playing there. This was a very tough defense to run against. That has not been the case in the last 2 years.
And the finish there, again, 3 missed tackles by Texas, which is what we've seen way too much.
That has been the Achilles heel for the Horns. First pass to Johnson in the flat. Johnson across the 20. Good pickup on first down.
I'm very curious now to see how Texas fights. We talked to Iowa State players yesterday, and they said the MO on Texas, when you're an underdog, if you hang around with them late in the game, they will quit. They will lay down. Now, whether or not that's true or not is irrelevant. It's what Iowa State believes. Can Texas fight right now, come back in this game?
Kansas State players had that sentiment in the offseason. Texas made them pay for it in Austin in their last game. Miscommunication, McCoy looking for Johnson. It'll be third down. We'll see if the Longhorns are able to put that type of talk to rest by Iowa State.
No Mike Davis on the field. That's been the go-to guy.
We haven't seen much of Jonathan Gray in the second half either.
Now, Malcolm Brown is in the game at running back. He's their best pass-catching running back, so keep your eyes on him if you're this defense.
Case McCoy firing too high for Shipley, and that ball after the deflection was hanging up there for a moment. Falls to the ground. The Longhorns will have to punt.
We're seeing this momentum shift, that big fumble on the last possession. All of a sudden, this stadium is alive again. There's energy for the home team. We talk about that Thursday, Friday night magic. You can kind of feel something happening right now here in this stadium.
And not just because, Jesse, of the sentiment that some opposing players in Big 12 feel. Texas players try to shield themselves from all the talk about their program and the criticism of Matt Brown. That ball hit Iowa State in the back.
Oh, that's lucky.
Very fortunate.
That is lucky.
That hit Bundridge right in the back of the head. It was a scramble for the ball, and Iowa State is very fortunate.
Well, we've seen Anthony Farah with some bombs tonight. That was probably his worst punt of the night. Certainly Bunder's not expecting that to hit him in the back.
Hey, Sam E. Richardson, who has 8 tackles, has broken up 3 passes tonight, might have saved the day by jumping on that loose football.
You can tell by Paul Rhodes that bear hug he just gave his young corner.
So we mentioned this at the beginning of the telecast, the comments on Mack Brown, coming to support from Bill Powers, Chris Sims, and most notably Earl Campbell, critical. You can't overstate what this last 10:39 of the fourth quarter means to at least the perception, and the administration ultimately will make a decision, but at least a perception of where Texas is. What the Longhorns can do with this season, readjusted their goals to try to win the Big 12 after some disheartening non-conference losses. Jeff Woody, haven't called his name much tonight, but the 5th-year senior and a guy who is a semifinalist for the Campbell Trophy, the academic Heisman, gets a carry. As you watch Mack here, hoping his defense can come up with a stop.
And he did readjust his goals, because all we heard from Mack preseason was this young team's grown up. This young team's ready for a championship, a national championship, and then to get kicked in the teeth and go 1-2 to start the season, they had to.
Wembley stopped cold. Might have picked up half a yard. It's 3rd and long.
And David, there was reason for that optimism. They had 19 starters back from a team that won 9 games. They had the most experienced quarterback in David Nash in the Big 12. Their defense looked to be turning a corner after a big game in the bowl game against Oregon State. And they had a relatively manageable non-conference schedule against BYU and Ole Miss. This team was supposed to be challenging for at least a Big 12 title and a BCS championship. That's why the expectations were set high, and that's why people are so disappointed.
Pressure coming. They're trying to set up the screen. Richardson had to throw it away. Texas had it defended beautifully, and the Longhorns down 3 will get the ball back.
And if you don't believe there's Mack Brown's feeling it, or there's, I mean, to do what he did as a defensive coordinator spot a couple weeks into the season, I mean, that's, I mean, pulling the trigger like that, that's a tough decision to make, to bring in Greg Robinson and fire Manny Diaz. And I mean, you know, he's feeling some of the pressure, and the defense hasn't performed, and he was quick to make a change.
Kirby Vanderkamp punts it away. Jackson Shipley makes the fair catch at his 14. So Texas will have it back, down by 3. Plenty of time to go, less than 9.5. But they've played hard tonight. And I think that when you look at the BYU, maybe not the Ole Miss game so much, but the BYU game, it looked as if they started feeling sorry for themselves. You want the effort, but at Texas, you have to have the results to go along with it. This last 9.5 minutes is huge for them.
Mediocrity is not okay at Texas, and that's what it's been in the last 3 years, guys. 12 and 15 in conference play. You look around the state of Texas, Texas A&M, Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, Houston, you can make a very strong argument in the last 3 years. Texas is the 4th best team only in their state. And that's not okay when you can recruit the way you recruit, and when you have the facilities you have, and your head coach makes $5.4 million. It's not okay to be mediocre. You should not be losing to Iowa State in the 4th quarter of the game.
Jonathan Gray just had that carry, lost his helmet, but he's going to have to leave. Jonathan doesn't want to leave the game. He hasn't played as much in the second half, but he has to by rule, even though he's claiming that a Cyclone knocked his helmet off. Malcolm Brown returns at the running back position on 2nd and 4 as we head toward the 9-minute mark. Brown going to be about a yard short of the first down. You know, as it pertains to Mack Brown, we've seen coaching changes mid-season. But let's make no mistake here as Texas goes tempo. Mack has far too much equity for that, as Brown is going to move it across the yellow line. It appeared by the yellow line that he got enough. We're going to see where they're spotting it. They're getting right on the 25. Paul Rhodes is out there. Thinking is short, but they're going to move the chains. It's first down, Texas. Mack has built up far more equity than other guys in terms of mid-season changes.
No doubt.
I mean, the talk has been out there about whether he has to beat Oklahoma, win this game or that game. If you're waiting on the result of one game on a coach, no matter who he is, you should have already made your decision. McCoy up top, Davis is out there, and they couldn't connect. 2nd and 10.
But the truth is, guys, Mack Brown created the monster. He gets all of the credit for making Texas relevant again, and he deserves that. What he did in his first 12 years is unbelievable. 9-10 win seasons, 7 top 10 finishes, 2 appearances in the national championship game. They win in 2005. He put Texas back on the map, but to whom much is given, much is expected, and now because of his success, fans expect that every year.
Here's Mike DeFee.
The game clock in the north end zone is out. The official clock is in the south.
And Texas fans should expect that, because you do have such a great recruiting base and such a great state for high school football and such a great brand. You should expect to be in that conversation.
It's the most valuable property in college football. But again, we talk about equity. In the 15 years prior to Mack Brown's arrival, they didn't have a top 10 finish.
Nope.
Exactly.
Program was a mess.
He put them on the map and made them relevant again. He should get all of the credit for that. There's no doubt.
So that begs the question. People...
Please set the game clock to 8:17. 8:17, and the clock will start on the snap.
It's because of the incomplete pass. The clock starts on the snap. In our culture now in sports, there's always the immediate knee-jerk outcry for change at the top. Mack Brown has won before, and after this snap, we'll talk about what he needs to do if he's going to be the one to restore Texas to the elite. Gray's back in the game, carrying it, running tough, picks up about 3. He'll be stopped short of the 30-yard line. So if Texas is going to return to championship contender status on a national scale, what do they need to do?
They have to pick an identity and stick with it and commit to it, both on offense and defense, moving forward as a program. That's, I think, the biggest problem right now at Texas.
That's the big picture problem. The immediate issue is converting this 3rd and 6, down 3 to Iowa State. Inside their own 30. Case McCoy getting pressure. McCoy gets away for a moment. Case still on his feet, throwing, complete, but it won't be a first down. There's that man, Sam Richardson, again on the stop of Kendall Sanders, and the Cyclones are going to get it back.
Wally Burnham, haven't seen a lot of pressure today. The most successful pressure they have had when they bring middle linebacker Jeremiah George. He again helped force Case McCoy outside the pocket. That's a big stop for the Cyclones D.
Twin safeties back for Iowa State to return the punt from Anthony Farah, who's been outstanding tonight. Fair catch called for and made. And a flag's going to come in for kick-catch interference. John Harris, who had the touchdown catch on the last play of the first half, got a little bit too close as Jarvis West was making the fair catch. Officials convening.
Fair catch interference. Number 9 of the kicking team. 15 yards from the spot of the foul. First down. Timeout.
That is a huge error by Harris. Iowa State will have it at its own 47 and holding on to a 3-point lead. SportsCenter follows us. Browns and Bills kick off week 5. Browns suddenly hot. The Cardinals hammer the Pirates in the opener of their playoff series. Dodgers and Braves also playing. I don't want to talk about the score of that game at the moment. The 4th. Dodgers have the lead. And I would imagine if the Cyclones are able to hold on, you might see a fair amount of 4 of us on SportsCenter tonight too. Wimberly into the 50. Wimberly running through tackles.
Guys, I think one of the issues you have as a defense facing this running game is just finding Aaron Wimberly. He's only 5'9". His left tackle's 6'8". His center's 6'6". His right tackle's 6'7". He's playing behind a bunch of trees.
Yeah, who found him at the end of that run right there? London found him just fine.
Once he gets outside of the forest. But when he's
their
back
linebackers have to attack. These Texas linebackers just sit back and react and catch. Go get the football.
Richardson. Got it out to James White. White has had his playing time cut down by Wimberly. Makes the grab and a good pickup.
I like the play calling in this game by offensive coordinator Courtney Messingham. You've seen outside runs. There's been some quarterback runs, but getting your running backs isolated against these bigger, slower Texas linebackers like Steve Edmond, very nice job in the scheme.
2nd down and 1. Maybe Richardson would take a shot here. Back to the ground. Wimberly. Gonna have enough for the 1st down. Inside 6 minutes to go. Iowa State driving, and Texas right now has to keep Iowa State out of the end zone.
Made a change. Brought in a new defensive coordinator. Same guys on defense. These guys need to look at each other in the huddle and say it's time to make a play.
That's what Robinson wants. They're under their average, but their average for the season in rush yards allowed has been through the roof. Richardson keeps it, turning the corner. Quarterback run inside the 15. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Cyclones, and the thing that has just destroyed Texas all year hurts them again, a 17-yard pickup.
They've been saving it. Richardson hasn't been pulling the football, but watch him. Jeff Coat comes down. Does a great job. That's a design quarterback keep around the outside, because you saw the fullback, Woody, come around, and a great job to run your quarterback. Been saving it all game. You didn't want him to take a pounding. Design quarterback run. The Achilles heel of Texas.
Boy, and what a night Sam Richardson has had. Wimberly cuts it back. Wimberly inside the 5, and he's close to a 1st down.
The issue, Dave, has been assignment football in this last one. You just hand off the draw inside. And that's a big...
Wimberly with the tough run. 119 yards on 28 carries. Now a 2nd and 1. 4.5 minutes, and Texas season might be hanging in the balance. The Longhorns rise up. It'll be 3rd down.
Going back 2 plays ago, guys, not being able to stop the zone read. Jackson, Jeffcoat has the dive. Edmonds needs to switch and take the quarterback. Watch how Edmonds inside gets stuck looking in the backfield. That's the assignment errors this defense had early this season that they looked like they cleaned up against Kansas State, and it came back to haunt them, and that's why Edmond right now on the sideline.
And you saw Jeff Woody, a fullback, coming out to block for a reason. He wasn't coming out there just to cover grass. You got to follow your keys.
This is a huge play. 3rd and 3. Richardson gets rid of it into the end zone. It's incomplete, and it'll be 4th down, and the Longhorn defense almost certainly will force a field goal attempt, and Cole Netton is trotting onto the field.
And that's why it's a big play. Because you have an opportunity to keep this thing a 1-possession game. Still with 3 minutes and 43 seconds left. You got all your timeouts if you're Texas. A huge stop for this Longhorn defense. Even though they got gashed, they made some mistakes on that drive. When it counted, backs against the walls, they held up.
So, well, your Rhodes is going up. Yep. Now let that clock wind down.
Delay a game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
That'll give Netton a little bit of a different angle on the field goal attempt. It's a close one. Line of scrimmage is now at the 11. That means they'll place it down at about the 18.
But that was 3rd and short, guys. They had success running the football. If you run the ball there, even if you don't get it, the clock keeps ticking and you bleed it more often. After the incomplete pass, you just did Texas a favor. That was a critical play.
I'm going to spot it at the 19, and Netton puts it through. And Iowa State's lead is a precarious 6. 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. In case McCoy, who's done it before, will have a chance to do it again for the Horns. Braxton Miller and the 4th-ranked Buckeyes going into Evanston to take on Northwestern. Saturday Night Football presented by Windows, part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. It's on ABC, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 on the West Coast. A great Big Ten matchup. I'm going to tell you, those two teams have a long way to go to match the entertainment value that we've had here in Ames on Thursday night. Benrick Mark returning for Northwestern. He's an explosive player. Iowa State just got a field goal. Texas keeping it to a one-possession game. Kickoff will be touched by Sanders. It goes out the back of the end zone, and the Horns will take over on the 25-yard line. And right now, the Longhorns are being challenged.
There it is. The state of the Texas program, no longer feared. They're no longer the hunted. They are now the hunters. They've been that way for 3 years. And here's an example to prove that and show that. You got to go out and take this game, take this win.
If they're hunters, they better go eat. If they're hunters, they're going hungry right now. Better put something together.
Last 4 drives by the Longhorns have not been productive. The fumble by Joe Bergeron was huge. Mike Davis is back. And now Case McCoy down 6. 3 minutes and 40 seconds to go and 75 yards away from the end zone. McCoy drops it to Jonathan Gray, puts him in the spin cycle, and Gray with a nifty move up to the 35.
We've been talking about Iowa State as a bend-don't-break defense. They've been that for most of the game. Gave up an explosive run early to Gray, gave up a Hail Mary. You have to keep the ball in front. Do not give up the big one now. Make them drive the field and earn this.
One of the most successful drives, too, was Mike Davis, trying to find a way to force-feed him. Give it to him at the bottom of the screen.
They're going for Davis. Davis is going to draw another pass interference penalty. This time it's going to be on Sam E. Richardson, who hasn't made many mistakes tonight.
No, but you know what? They put him on an island.
Pass interference. Defense, number 4. 15-yard penalty, automatic.
They know Mike Davis isn't completely healthy. They've put him in man coverage a lot, or man coverage against him. He's my best player. He's my best playmaker. I give him a shot.
McCoy in his career, game-winning drives. He saved Texas on a lethargic Saturday against Kansas last year. 2 years ago on Thanksgiving night, we saw him lead the game-winning drive against A&M. Now back to work and finding Davis. Davis makes the grab. He's hit immediately by Luke Knott.
That's what Iowa State's going to do now. They're just going to read the quarterback's eyes and attack the football in front of them. They got to be able to get pressure up front from only 4 guys. We haven't seen a ton of it tonight. David Irving, defensive tackle, 87. He's got to show up big on this drive.
Gray inside the 35, and the Longhorns are on the move. Plenty of time, over 2.5 to go. Clock stops while they move the chains.
Love the play call. Not in any kind of hurry whatsoever. They're giving you the run right up the gut. Just take it. Take your 15 yards.
Check with the sideline.
I love it. You're not in a rush. Make sure you get the best play call available each and every snap.
McCoy to throw. Down the middle. Almost intercepted twice. First, Luke Knott got a hand on it, then Jaquez Washington.
Luke Knott is not the same athlete as his older brother, Jake. He's not the same size, but this was a tremendous play. Just getting a hand or 2 on that football, because that almost was a huge completion to Jackson Shipley. In fact,
if he didn't tip it, that was going to get picked.
Well, he may have scored, I think.
But if Shipley didn't tip it either, the corner was right behind him, ready to get the interception. So it was a good game of volleyball right there.
Now 2nd and 10. After the near miss for both sides, McCoy unloads. It's behind Gray. He makes a good grab, and he's tackled by George.
Face mask.
And he's going to get a little extra yardage with the face mask, we believe.
I thought he grabbed the back of his head, it looked like.
Mike DeFee's crew talking it over at this juncture of the game. Make sure you get this one right.
Personal foul. Grabbing the back opening of the helmet. Defense, 15-yard, half the distance to the goal, automatic first down.
And guys, uncharacteristic of a Paul Rhodes coach team. Iowa State came in averaging just 3 penalties a game. By far the best in the Big 12. Tonight now, that's already their 9th penalty.
They've had more than 3 times the penalty yardage they normally have. Now over 100 yards in penalties, and that one was damaging. The Cyclone defense now needing to bow up as Texas defense did on the other end. There's movement on the right side. False start.
False start. Offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Right now, Iowa State giving a lot of cushion to these receivers, Jackson Shipley and Mike Davis. You might consider just spinning it outside for Case McCoy. See if one of these guys can make a guy miss.
Gray to the corner and knocked out of bounds at the 10.
That's the first time we've seen Texas all night go 2 tight ends, line up in a tight formation, and try to run the football.
And get big.
It's the first time you tried to be the bully. You are the bully. You're supposed to beat Texas, for God's sakes.
But you're way bigger up front. Take advantage of that. We've been saying that all game. And the best red zone teams are the ones that run the football. This is an area, the windows to throw in, you get smaller and smaller the closer you get. You got to be able to run.
See if Major Applewhite keeps it on the ground. High snap. McCoy had to catch it 2 or 3 times and finally just goes to the ground. It's 3rd down.
And it's a wasted play, Reese. Because that looked like they may have had something there. There was some holes up front in that offensive line that they potentially could have taken advantage of. Now you just, that's basically an incompletion.
Even worse, you lost a yard.
Yeah, that's a sack. Second.
So Iowa State uses the timeout because Paul Rhodes now, if he does give up the touchdown, wants to save as much time as he can to give his offense an opportunity. So here's the situation with 82 seconds remaining in the game. Texas is down by 6. They've already lost 2 games, rededicated themselves to the Big 12, and now in danger of losing this game if they can't punch it in to the end zone on this drive.
I think right now, if you're Texas, you know, you want to be able to run the football. Now you got a big 3rd down. Mike Davis, we talked about him a lot. He's one of the best in the country at high pointing the football and making big plays when he's single covered, when he's double covered. He's been a little banged up tonight. He's made some plays. I think that's the guy you got to look at now if you're Texas.
Yeah, and it's not a secret. You got 2 downs for this. So you don't necessarily have to throw an 8-yard route. Even if you want to run the football again, you've had some success running the football in this drive too to make it more manageable at 4th and 4. The clock's not an issue.
Clock not an issue, and also Texas can't pick up a 1st down just inside the 4-yard line. Case McCoy's thrown for 244 yards tonight. Needs to move his team 11 more yards. Plenty of time for Case. Now firing to the end zone. Texas wanted a flag, and they're going to get one. Was looking for the tight end, Greg Daniels. And pass interference is going to be called on Sam Richardson.
And it's a good call.
Pass interference. Defense, number 4. By rule, Bobby placed it for 2-yard line. 1st down.
It's a good call. I mean, you got to make that call. But
it is a good call, David, but if you're Sam Richardson, that's twice on this drive now. If you just turn around and locate the football, you probably have a pick.
That's so much easier said than done, though, because there's somebody in the back of the end zone who's wide open. You just try to get there as fast as you can. He had 40 years to throw the football as well, which really helped.
Texas gets big in the formation. On the ground to Gray. Gray pushing, stopped short. Now Iowa State is running out with the football. Jeremiah George has the ball. Let's see what they call. I think from the looks of the officials, they're calling it down at the 1.
The ruling on the field is the runner was down by contact. Timeout, Iowa State. Their 2nd timeout of the half.
Well, Iowa State wants to stop the clock, not only to preserve time, but just in hopes that the replay booth will have a look at this.
And that's big that it's that,
get the ball.
Reese, and not forward progress, because you can't review forward progress.
That's a...
Hey, you remember the Oklahoma State-Texas game last year?
Yes.
At the goal line when they got kind of a gift?
It looks to me there like the ball comes out before he's touched the ground.
I mean, George got in there and dug the football out. His knees are still up. Wow. The question, I think, is whether the play was blown dead.
Well, and saying he's down by contact.
Yeah.
It's big.
Our replay official is Tom Robinson.
Oh, man. You know what, Gray? It looked like Gray tried to, as soon as he knew he lost the football, it looked like he tried to get down as fast as possible. He tried to take a seat. I don't know if you could see it enough, but it looked like it was out, didn't it?
Let's see if we can hear a whistle blowing the play dead. Wow. You hear the whistle. Now, look, our microphones don't necessarily capture everything, so you don't know if you heard the first whistle or not.
Paul Rhodes trying to physically demonstrate exactly what happened, just in case there's any miscommunication between what he's looking for on this replay.
I know for Texas fans that this is agonizing. I know for Iowa State fans that they're on the edge of their seats praying and hoping that this is called a fumble by the replay official. But for the rest of us, how much fun has this been on Thursday night? What a game, what an atmosphere, perfect weather, threats of thunderstorms to start the night. They didn't come close, so we had lightning strikes on the field. We had a Hail Mary play to end the first half, a 97-yard touchdown pass. And now we're coming down with the ball on the 1 and an official review to see whether Iowa State ripped the ball away from Jonathan Gray and would have an opportunity perhaps to hold on to their lead.
Keep in mind, too, guys.
What's the call first? I mean, what do you guys think before they... I want to hear the opinion.
I think the football came out.
So do I.
Personally, I think it came out. And you know,
I think it did too, but I think they're going to say the call stands because I don't think they're going to have enough evidence. But I do think the football came out.
You know, it's interesting. Jonathan Gray, normally not the short yardage, and certainly not the goal line running back.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands is called.
A huge break for Texas. Now let's remind you, as I'm sure you know, video evidence has to be completely indisputable before you overturn the call. Crowd doesn't like it. That guy in the front saying, how could you do that? Said the evidence wasn't indisputable, so now Texas with 1:08 to go has a 2nd and goal. Back to Gray. Gray. Ball is down again. Ball was loose on the field again, and they stopped short of the goal line as the clock is still ticking inside a minute. Well, Rhodes used his final timeout.
Wow, it looked like Gray there tried to extend the ball with 2 hands. Oh,
that's a
lost
fumble.
It. It's a fumble.
Now,
see who got it, though.
Now, in immediate action, if there's a recovery.
And final timeout.
Oh, wow.
The question will be who recovered it in the immediate action following. That's a fumble, clearly.
It looked like Gray scooped it back in his body, though.
Gray.
That's a great.
Right there.
Yeah.
Oh!
Great.
I think George had a chance to get it again at the end of the play, but it looked like Gray won the wrestling match.
So close for Iowa State. Paul Rhodes and Wally Burnham in Texas has to have its heart in its throat. I got to tell you, Gray's terrific. I'm not sure I give it to him again now.
Joe Bergeron is normally their goal line running back at 230 pounds, but he also had a touchdown run earlier inside. Regardless of who it is, guys, I'm still toting the rock on offense. I'm going again, and I'm going again these next 2 drives. I'm trusting my line up front.
I think the most interesting thing about this is a lot of times coaches throw up the red flag on defense and let them score because you got your timeouts. Because it's hard on 1 yard line, but I think you've seen anything can happen. That's 2 fumbles possibly in 2 plays.
Right before the fumble, I was going to bring that up, and you guys mentioned Gray's been fortunate not to have a couple of fumbles called. Bergeron's fumbled tonight, so Malcolm Brown is in the game for Texas at tailback. McCoy keeps it. Case McCoy. It looked as if he got in. Touchdown, Texas.
Don't give your running backs a chance to fumble. Just put it in the quarterback's hands. Good surge up front. Oh, yeah, clearly
Easily
in. you know what? Give Case McCoy in this offense tons of credit. A tremendous, you know, that's twice now in this game. Late in each half, they've come up with a huge 2-minute drive to score touchdowns.
Now Anthony Farah has to put through the extra point to put Texas on top by 1 with 51 seconds remaining in the game.
And the air has just come out of the stadium.
The previous play is under further review.
They're going to have another look, but that was clearly a touchdown. If you're not going to have enough video tape evidence to overturn the earlier apparent fumble or near fumble by Gray, I don't see how you're going to change this one.
I'm just going to review every play from here on in.
That's what the replay model's for, David, to try to make sure they get it right down the gut of the game.
He's 3 yards in the end zone. Come on.
But a tremendous drive by Case McCoy. Really nice. And, you know, Iowa State outside has struggled at times. It's been a physical matchup all game long on the perimeter of the field. Some of them, Watson and Richardson won, but there were a lot of pass interference calls. We talked about the mismatches that Texas felt like they had outside. They took advantage of it on this last drive. A couple pass interference calls, gets them down close. But give Case McCoy tons of credit.
You know who else I give a lot of credit? Mike Davis.
No doubt.
Dude's not playing even close to 100%. You can see he doesn't have the speed he usually has, but he's out here competing, and he drew a ton of PIs. He made some big plays for his team. Kudos.
And Mike DeFee's about to tell us that was a touchdown.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
Stands? Wasn't confirmed? Tell me you couldn't confirm that?
Semantics. Semantics, my friend.
Verbiage.
Woof. Think Max Brown just exhaled?
But I don't think he's going to until Farah puts through this extra point. The way things have gone for Mac this season, he wants to take nothing for granted, though Farah is reliable. And he is again, and Texas has a 1-point lead with 51 seconds to go, and the Cyclones have no timeouts.
We talked about how Iowa State players, and maybe some other players and teams throughout the Big 12, think that if you hang around with Texas late in the game, in a game they're supposed to win, they lay down. That did not happen tonight. Give Mac Brown and his team a ton of credit. They fought till the very end. They were put in some very difficult situations, had to fight a ton of adversity, but they made the plays when they needed to, and now 51 seconds away from escaping with the win.
Sam Richardson will be called on to try to lead that drive and see if he can answer McCoy. Those two guys have answered one another all night long.
And this game's not over yet, so obviously there's still some chance to come in there and make some plays, but this doesn't change our debate in any way, shape, or form of what we had before this fourth quarter got crazy with Mac Brown. This is still Texas versus Iowa State.
What does this say to you then, David?
About Mac Brown and the Texas
about
situation?
the state of the Texas program, or maybe a better way to say it, this Texas team, the state of this Texas team.
I mean, obviously it'd be a great rally, but it doesn't change anything about the debate we just had. They've still been underperforming, and they should beat Iowa State. That's what Texas should do every year.
The Texas defense, let's not forget too, they came up with a big stop in the red zone to force a field goal in Iowa State's last possession, enabling the Longhorns to be able to take the lead with that drive. Texas doesn't want to risk a return on the kickoff, so no reason monkeying around, kicking it short, letting Wimberly touch it, who was back there. So Richardson will take over, 75 yards away. They just have to get into field goal range to give Iowa State a chance. The redshirt freshman kicker, Cole Netton, appeared to be confident from about 50 and in warm-ups. They'll start on their own 25. It's going into the wind a little bit, not a huge wind out here tonight. But first things first for Richardson. Steps up, delivers, and headed to the boundary is Wimberly out of the backfield. A good pickup on first down.
Wimberly, the tight end E.J. Bibbs, wide receiver Quentin Bundridge. These are the guys that are going to win the game for Iowa State. These are the guys that are going to give them that chance. They've got to be utilized for them to have any hope.
Pickup of 11. Texas showing a little pressure. Here they come. Quick throw, incomplete. Clock will stop. 42 seconds to go.
It's better.
Good thing he didn't catch
it's
that.
a better thing that they did not catch that play because they have no timeouts. The clock's still ticking. It can't be your enemy right here. Got to work the perimeter of the field.
And if you work the middle, it's got to be beyond the sticks.
Exactly, beyond the sticks, exactly.
2nd and 10. Richardson gets rid of it, and it's incomplete. 3rd and 10 coming. They had Santos covering Wimberly, and he couldn't quite keep up. And Richardson's slow to get up, but they've got to have him. If he can stand, he's got to play.
This is where Texas's inconsistent pass rush needs to be consistent because you know it's a pass. Pin the ears back. Malcolm Brown, Chris Whaley, Cedric Reed, Jackson Jeffcoat. Let's see. We haven't said his name.
Well, I mean,
let's get it going.
Make your imprint on the game. This is a perfect situation. You get a sack, this ball game is probably over.
39 ticks. Texas sends 4. Richardson underneath. First down Iowa State and into Texas territory. Clock will stop to move the chains. That's James White, 32 ticks left.
Third time on the drive. They've isolated Wimberly against Dalton Santos over the middle of the field. That is a mismatch that Iowa State right now taking advantage of.
And I love that they took advantage of, but you can only do it if you lead your receiver. Twice he's led him out in front of him where he can go and get that first down. It's a mismatch every single time. How close we getting, Mr. Davis?
We're getting close. They're on the 48. They need about 15 yards. They have 31 seconds and no timeouts to at least give Netton a shot at a field goal.
You got to win the one-on-one matchup, man-to-man across the board. Somebody's got to win if you're Iowa State.
Second and 10 after the spike. Richardson thinking about running it. Can't afford to slide, and now this is a problem. Clock is going to continue to run. They're going to have to line up and either run a play, and if they spike it, they'll only have one more play.
Oh, ref dropped it.
Got it down quicker than they did in the Wisconsin game. Richardson will fire, and it's intercepted by Jeffcoat. Right on cue, the deflection, and Jackson Jeffcoat saves the day for Texas.
There was some confusion at the line of scrimmage, it looked like, for Iowa State. They had to hurry after that scramble from Richardson. Timing looked off. He double clutched the throw as well. Was forced to hold it a second longer.
I don't think they knew if receivers were running out in patterns or they were going to spike the football. It looked like there was a lot of confusion, and then Cedric Woods comes off the end, left end. They don't even block him. Tips it. Jeffcoat says, here you go, I got that.
And it looks like Dad Ekby was open on the outside on a slant. If that ball doesn't get batted, that might be the completion they need to get into field goal range. But the defense that did a great job against Kansas State, forcing turnovers with 3. Coming up with some huge turnovers in this game. Obviously none bigger than that this year.
And a giant exhale from the Burnt Orange Nation as Texas goes to 2-0 in the Big 12, hanging on by the skin of its teeth, 31-30 against Iowa State. Well, what a game it's been tonight. Time for our Wrangler 5-star player of the game. Case McCoy leads the game-winning drive, throws for 2 touchdowns. He snuck in the game winner. Case McCoy, our Wrangler 5-star player of the game. And those 2 quarterbacks, McCoy and Richardson, were terrific. Sports Center's coming up next. Bills and Browns, Cards, Pirates, Dodgers and Braves, and much more on this for our entire fine ESPN Thursday night crew. Sam Ponder, David Pollack, Jesse Palmer. I'm Reese Davis saying good night from Ames, where Texas hooks them, but just barely.